7904. If you want to get all technical, it is 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock on the dot. The start of 2+ hours nonstop MLB DFS conversation, taking y'all straight up to lock. First pitch 7:05 on the East Coast. Crunch time. You got DerekCarty, CEO of the Bat, CEO of the Blitz, as well as Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth, and SDL Cards. Myself today, I am here with Keith Eister, the deliverer of Fleisters. You've been demoted, Keith. You were on the show, the Crunch Time yesterday. Now you're on the 5 o'clock show. You got to spend some. Maybe you must have swapped with Stevie or something. I'm not really sure how that worked out schedule-wise, but hopefully you can power on through. Welcome to the show. It's a 13-gamer. It's a big boy slate. No time for nonsense. How are things in your world?
Things are going well. Yeah, Kirkwood was on Crunch Time with me yesterday as well.
Both,
so
I think we double demotion. They didn't like our show. Apparently, it must be something to do with Dean actually hitting his Dean's dongs for the first time.
Yeah. Well, if you look at it says I am the deliverer of dongs. We delegated a couple out yesterday. I actually didn't officially verbalize them, but I put them in the chat as we yielded to Crunch Time. And we had
I didn't see that. I don't know. Is that true?
What do you mean you didn't? You don't think I actually typed it in the chat?
Does it matter if it's not verbalized? It's like
is that the loophole?
I think it might be.
That must be why the mush didn't work. I believe somebody on Crunch Time yesterday said that you mushed those guys and we should definitely not play them.
Who amongst you two, or was it Roth? I'm assuming. I feel like not to name names or point fingers, Kirkwood, but I feel like it was most likely you that said. So the big dumper is greater than the Dean Mush. Basically,
I think I may have said it. I don't know, but I know if it's either Roth said it or I said it, but we both agreed. Either way, we were. Could have been me. I'm not going to say it wasn't me.
I'll shout out you though, or I guess the both of you. I'm not sure who said it specifically. Maybe both of you guys are on it. But I was in the Discord last night hanging out, and somebody just dropped in a random note. They said, everybody on Crunch Time seemed to like Marcell Ozuna. So that's why Ozuna happened to land in my lineup. So I think both you guys called him pretty strong. And me and Stevie had a fun conversation.
Juggalo bomb. He was a
Juggalo bomb. There you go. Was he a Fleister? There was no official Fleisters, I'm pretty sure.
I gave out some home run picks. He was my under-the-radar home run call on the expert survey.
Okay, there you go. And we'll shout out Stevie. Just patting everybody in the back. And I know Stevie gave me the business yesterday, but he was talking about that Seattle stack. I didn't say you couldn't play him, but it certainly was weakened with the absence of J-Rod. But he was talking about Seattle, and he was also talking about his expert survey homer pick was McCormick, who hit not one, but two. So if you put all the content together, a 1-1, 1-1, 1-1, 1-1 stack, you would have done really, really well last night.
Couple of things on that. First off, Chop was a little upset that you have been bashing Chaz for a while. He says so. No. He that's what he said. But there's something that rubbed me the wrong way yesterday that I got to point out on behalf of my man Chop. So I was listening to the show ahead of time, like I always do, participating in chat, and you went into these stacks, and you said you pointed out specifically that Chop had his Angels stack and didn't remove it. So, and let's be honest, nobody likes a tattletale, Dean.
Well, I was just running down the names, and Chop, I don't know what he does after 1:30, but he checked out. He probably went back and figured it out before 7 o'clock. That's as we do our updates. Before we went on and did the show, there's some players today that were not expected to be out of the lineup, but they happened to be. So I took them out of my rankings. I've adjusted. And as of like 5:30 yesterday, his timestamp, there's a timestamp right there. There's no tattletaling. It's just, that's it. Timestamp trumps everything. That's the end of the conversation.
Yeah, but did you have to point it out?
Well, I had already said Angels. So now I had to justify why I said Angels.
Oh, you had to.
Chop put me in a bad. Well, just supposed to say Angels. Yeah, they're not playing, but sure, they're a great stack.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant you could have easily backtracked that. I meant, that's all you got to say is, I meant.
Turns out, by the way, I'm looking at the stacks right now. You're the only person, and I actually kind of like this one. There are probably 6 for me. You are the only person that actually has the Angel stack today, and they are playing baseball, to the best of my knowledge. So it's actually a real.
I'm just going to give you a little warning. Be careful for our show with Chop and me on Friday.
What's gonna happen?
I don't know. Just be careful.
All right. Fair enough. I wouldn't
want to see you do something to make the same mistake you did yesterday in one of these next couple days, right before our show on Friday. It's all.
I mean, maybe Chop could just show accountability. How about that? Instead of like getting all defensive, just be accountable, right? Is that too hard?
Chop is one of the most accountable people that I know.
I just tease back. Kirkwood, this slate today, man, it's a weird one. It's pretty funky, and I'm pitching wise, it's weird as far as the ownership stuff, and I'm not really sure. It feels like a tough day to peg what ownership's going to be. But as we're seeing right now, Lucas Giolito was supposed to pitch yesterday. He's pitching tonight. He's got a 30% ownership on DK. Carlos Rodon, who's been an absolute stone disaster this season. You cover the name up, but he looks like Adam Wainwright, basically. Too many walks, too many fly balls. He's been terrible, but the price is down to a certain point where he's getting a fair bit of ownership. I don't believe our ownership on Grayson Rodriguez. I think all the content guys, everybody, I pumped him up. He's got the rainbow there as far as the tags, Noto and Cheese. And I think yourself, Kirkwood. We're only giving him 16%, and he's like a 6.1K play on DK. And he might be the best pitcher just on the slate, like on Fanduel. And this is like an SP2 on DK. I think that's going to get adjusted. We'll see. Stay tuned. Like I thought that was kind of sort of somewhat sneaky for a bit, but I just think that I think the field's going to sharpen up. But I want your take here. Before we dive into that, just give me like the landscape as far as the slate as a whole, because I'll just say mine. I don't really want to get as goofy as I want to be in hitting, because we can pick on Adam Wainwright with a good offense. We can pick on Noah Syndergaard with a good offense. And the Pirates are there too, and they're facing a terrible pitcher as well. It seems pretty – I'm having a hard time getting away from the really good hitting. And the general rules is I'm hitting is highly variance. But I just think the hitting is really, really strong. And I'm kind of flipping that is sort of my approach where – but we'll see. We'll see where ownership lands. But I'm not going to have a lot of Carlos Rodon. And I'm curious where you're at, your thoughts in general. Give me the 30,000-foot view as far as a slate for yourself.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what his ownership ends up at. I think it's just going to be tanking. It's like, why? Who really wants to risk or feels the need to risk him today? I get it. The matchup is fine, but they're also pesky and don't strike out. So it's like, and he's been injured all year, and he's coming back from his hamstring injury, and he's sucked all year. So he has stunk all year. I just don't get it. I mean, maybe you're just trying to make something happen if you're playing him, but there's really no need. Another guy. So I'm interested to see how Hogan Harris comes in but like Giolito is my number one tonight. And there's for several reasons, actually. He actually was up 2 miles per hour on all of his arsenal and every pitch in his last start. And it was a tough matchup for him. It was against Texas, and he ended up going 110 pitches, which is nice, right? So the long leash is there, and the Angels don't want to get into that bullpen. And he only had 5 Ks, but he was starting to look like old Giolito. And so now you get the matchup against an overrated, ice cold Cincy lineup, right? That strikes out a lot. They over the last month, I believe they're second in strikeouts versus right-handed pitching. So this is a really good strikeout matchup. It's been an anemic offense as of late for the last month, and I think he's going to put it all together. And his price, you're getting a discount from Blake Snell, and obviously Snell has the ceiling. But when does he ever realize that ceiling with this walks? I mean, his walks have been he's been much better over these last couple months, but over this last month specifically, even though his strikeouts have been massive, let me pull it up here. He's at a 28% K percentage, which is the highest on the slate over the last 30 days. But I mean, his 16.5 walk percentage, which is just unreal.
It's unacceptable. Right? It's outrageous.
Yeah. But the ceiling's there, so it'll be interesting to see what he comes in at. I'm fine playing him tonight if you get a little bit more, if his ownership starts to come down, because I thought he was going to be chalk, because it's pretty easy to get anything you want really on the pitching end. But Grayson Rodriguez is just way too cheap on all sites maybe FanDuel he's priced appropriately or somewhat appropriately, but I mean, it's ridiculous what he's done. I mean, he's been really solid. So if you look over the last 30 days, and the strikeout numbers haven't been great, right? He's only like 23% or 22% somewhere in there, but it's his swinging strike rate that's been high. Oh, it's been above 13%. He's had above 29% called strike whiff. So it's like everything's there. He's throwing heat. He's throwing 99 going into the hundreds. And he's looked like a stud. He looks like he's been breaking out. And then he's pitching at home where the temperature is dropping, right? It's going to be in the 70s tonight. The dew point is dropping. So it's not a great weather spot, and the wind's blowing in directly from center in this one. So he's going to be chalky, but those are the guys. And then from there, I have no problem with Kikuchi, with Bailey Ober, things like that. I don't Bobby Miller even, but I don't think I'm going to go like Clevenger. But I get it that some people are, just to try to really load in all the bats with Clevenger, Grayson lineups, but I'm probably not going to do that. So anyway, that's I've talked too much here, but that's kind of what I'm seeing at pitcher.
I would just add, by the way, as far as Grayson Rodriguez, for starters, like, this is a guy that's going to be like 9 and 10K next year when he's not a fully complete project, but he's getting there, and he's been great since coming back, or really, really solid since coming back. Toronto is kind of a scary team in theory, but this year versus righties, they're 20th in ISO, 15th in WOBA, 13th in WRBC plus, basically a league average team. And the other thing is the ballpark configuration for Baltimore. I was looking at the Baseball Savant stuff for this year, specifically to righties. That's basically Toronto's entire lineup. It's a 97 ballpark factor. It's now a positive environment for pitchers because of, the goofy stuff they did out there with left field and just trying to Aaron Judge proof it. Hey, Keith, I want to get your thoughts just before we fully dive in, but what do you know? And I'm giving you you're like the default, and I'm catching off guard possibly. That you're like the default prospect guy. Marte for Cincinnati. He's had one game, right? 21 years old. I'm seeing he's one of the better prospects in the organization. Top 100 overall. Got some power, a little bit of speed. He cracked the lineup tonight for Cincinnati. Is he related to Cattell by chance? Is that a popular last name? I'm not sure. Just 21. 6'1", 181 is the frame. Do you have a thought as far as Marte? This is the time of the year where you start seeing guys kind of popping up. It's like, oh, who's this guy? Should we be aware of this person? Projected as far as strikeouts going forward, I was curious for this as far as the opponent, as far as the pitcher. According to the bat, reasonably contact heavy, 20.4% is his projected K percent going forward in the majors. You have a take on this guy? You aware of this person?
Yeah, definitely a legitimate prospect. He was the big return for, I believe it was when Luis Castillo went to Seattle. Definitely signed by Seattle originally and then traded over to Cincinnati. He's definitely more of a toolsy guy, like still very raw. So definitely some strikeout risk there. He does have quite a bit of speed, a little bit of power. I'm just checking in. I haven't followed him that closely this season.
Yeah.
Looks like the power hasn't quite shown up yet. He does have 18 stolen bases in the minors this year. So the speed is definitely there. Power is still coming a little bit. 184 ISO in AA, 175 in AAA. So not non-existent power, but it hasn't quite shown up as much as we expect it to eventually. But yeah, just still very raw, but a very talented guy as well.
No Yordan Alvarez for the Houston Astros. Altuve, Bregman, Tucker batting third. Diaz batting cleanup. Chops guy, McCormick is batting fifth. Dubon, Singleton, Pena, and Maldonado is the Houston lineup. What do you have here as far as your screenshot? I think I saw you nodding along, Keith, as far as this ownership. And this stuff will change as that we close in a lock. But I can't see Grayson Rodriguez just be 16, 17% on DK. It's going to get higher than that, right? And I think, I haven't heard anybody say anything positive about Carlos Rodon all day. And the stats have been an absolute disaster. I understand he was spectacular. We got his big contract and good for him. But he looks terrible, dealing with injuries, too many fly balls, too many homers, too many walks. I'm just really curious where this ownership settles. I just gave it a refresh, and I guess we'll wait and see if a new batch comes in. But, yeah, your general overall take, and then I'm curious your thoughts as far as ownership when it comes to the pitchers.
Yeah, so I have a pretty clear plan on what to do with Blake Snell and Carlos Rodon, and that is go way underweight. Same can be said for Justin Verlander. Just don't like his matchup there against Boston. His strikeouts have been dropping for years now. He's all the way down to like 20%. Boston is a very low strikeout team, high contact. Don't like that price tag for Verlander in this matchup. Giolito is the one I'm very conflicted on. It's an awesome strikeout matchup against a very young Reds lineup. It's a dangerous spot as well. They have a lot of power in that lineup. I could definitely see him paying that off with a bunch of strikeouts. I just don't like the ownership number on it. So haven't quite figured out what type of a stance I'm taking on Giolito yet. Grayson Rodriguez is my favorite pitcher on the slate, like a lot of people's. I completely agree. We hyped him up in his last start, talked about how his fastball velocity had spiked since his recent call-up. He's now averaging over 98 miles an hour on it. And then he went out and dominated in his last start, and he's $300 cheaper today than he was in that start. So Toronto, another very right-handed heavy team. Rodriguez, when he's been getting burned, has mostly been by lefties. There's just no left-handed power in this Toronto lineup. So he's just way too cheap for this matchup. Yes, Toronto could potentially hit a couple of home runs off him, but the fact they can't get very left-handed on him and he's just too cheap is the answer. I will try to be at least double the field on the ownership. I agree it's probably a little bit too low. I think we see that tick up to about 20% by first pitch, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's like 25% when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
So I might be trying to get like 50% Grayson Rodriguez.
As like chalk pitchers go, and like, Dave Potts, Jesus good. Like the general rule is like with Blake Snell, you're supposed to get some shares if nobody's playing him. He's projected to be pretty heavily owned. And by the way, the Marlins are really good against lefties. They're lefty-righty splits. The Marlins are distinctly better versus left-handers this season. Jorge Soler is like one of the best hitters in all of baseball versus lefties this season. I don't like Snell being heavily owned. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to add on to that point. Their numbers against lefties this year are really good, and they've added Jake Berger, who has also been one of the best hitters in baseball against lefties. So this is a dangerous lineup against left-handed pitching.
Do we have officially, because I know Arise was he left the game early last night, but I think the note was it was cramps, I want to say. I don't think it was anything to his stomach cramp. Maybe he had the IBS or something. Not really sure what happened to Luis Arise, but I assume he's going to be in the lineup when it cracks. Left on left, but he's super annoying to pick on because he just makes a tremendous amount of contact. The lineup does fall off a fair bit, but the other part is like Snell is just kind of sort of pitching against himself, right? He's just pitching to the umpire, and you never really know what you're going to get out of him. You're probably going to get 3 or 4 walks, and when he happens to walk the bases loaded that one inning, does he get out of it? If he gets out of it, it's going to be a great night for him, and he might strike out 9. But I think it's an interesting thought process as far as the Marlins. I'm not sure if I'm going to get to a full stack, but I like, Soler, Berger, Bell, the rest is pretty, I don't know, kind of shaky. What do you do with Arise? I guess you play him in stacks, but like by himself, it's just like the price seems pretty ridiculous, and he needs like 9 events to get there, but he's done it before. What do you do, Keith, when it comes to Luis Arise?
Yeah, only in stacks, I think, is the way to play it. If you're full stacking the Marlins, totally fine. He's not one of my first 3 Marlins I'm putting in a lineup. But if I was trying to get to 5 of them, he probably makes the cut.
Do you want to say what's up to the YouTube chat? Shout outs. Kindly hit that like button. Do subscribe. Turn on those notifications. Do all those things. We much appreciate it. And I want to give a special shout out to ChopStash777, who says hashtag smash the like button. I don't know. Is that Chop's burner account? Do you know anything about ChopStash, Kirkwood? Because he's saying nice things about me. So I don't know if it's like playing the long game. I'm not sure what's going on here.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one before. Who knows? You never know. Never know. Chop's a tricky cat, so you never know.
All right, well, fair enough. I mean, you guys, I don't know what kind of
shenanigans. Can you really trust? Can you really trust a former bathroom attendant in a strip club? Can you?
Well, I mean, you said that I should watch myself, and you're the one taking shots. Maybe you should watch yourself when he comes on.
I sometimes I just can't help myself. It's really bad.
And I'm sure there's a nicer way of putting his, of talking about his resume. I'm sure, and there's nothing wrong with that. People need their hands washed. When I walk in there, I'm like, well, how do I? Wait, could somebody hand me? I need find a way to dry my hands, but is there anything available? And then somebody out of nowhere. And then who carries singles?
Have you ever taken a mint from a bathroom attendant?
I don't like the whole process. It's like
I avoid it like the plague. I'll tip them more to just like leave me alone.
The problem, and I have, but I'll give him a buck. But who carries a buck these days, right? The problem with those.
You ever had a shot of Jakar Noir or something like that?
Maybe like in 1989, I had
little spritz. Yeah, this is tough back in the day. Little spritz.
Is Drakkar Noir still in business? Is that still a thing? I don't know. Does that still exist? The kids these days don't know about Drakkar Noir, do they? I don't know.
What is Snoop's? Cool Water.
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg.
Let us know in the chat. Cool Water. So here's the problem, and I'm sure you noticed this before. All it does is this is not. If you don't know this, you don't know. Guys just don't wash their hands. They just walk past. They want to avoid the whole process. So it just disincentivizes people to not wash their hands.
It's I mean, especially
it backfires. It's not good. Yeah. It's not good. Keith, I'm sure it's an epidemic. I'm sure you've seen this before, where people just don't wash their hands to avoid
the bathroom. The most awkward situation that there is.
Curb this should be a Larry David covering this. Like, he should cover this.
There is a new season coming up, a new and final season allegedly. Just one more season to go. I cannot wait for more Curb. And by the way, people in the chat are also agreeing. Like, they don't want Giolito. Giolito does seem like an interesting, like, sort of like high variance outcome. Like you said, Cincinnati, lots of power, but lots of Ks. If you pull up the plate IQ in Cincinnati, that's kind of what we're looking at. Is the Marine Lair lurking out there today? I don't know what's going on there. All sorts of weather stuff on the West Coast in Los Angeles the past few days. Beyond that, as far as the pitchers, Kirkwood, I think an interesting pivot, if this ownership's going to hold, is Zach Gallen at 15%. He might be just the talented pitcher on the slate, and he's going to be kind of ignored because he's a little bit more expensive, and the matchup against Texas is not perfect. But we're talking about the likely, at least last we saw, according to Scores and Odds, I believe it's the likely Cy Young winner. We'll see how that changes. Strider kind of falling back. And he's just going to be kind of ignored. Verlander is right there. I think you're paying a little bit too much for what you're getting out of him these days as far as the case. I think he's fine, but I'm looking to get Gallen. Is he somebody you're looking at, Kirkwood, as far as a spend it to be a little bit different?
I don't know. First thing I got to do here is I got to recognize this GW in chat here. I think we all got to give him a round of applause. He taught himself data science and data analysis to be better at DFS. And,
what did I miss?
He's not gonna. He's just claiming how no one's gonna learn anything from a YouTube video or make any money.
They just learned about bathroom attendants and mins.
Let's give him a round of applause. This man knows data science and data analysis. Must be one of the best DFS players in the industry, I bet. Congratulations. So anyway, Zach Gallen. It's more about the matchup here, right? It's and the price tag. Now, could he break the slate and put on one of his like great performances? Yeah, but how likely is that? Against Texas, he hasn't really had the upside this season that we've been looking for out of him. Now, he's been great. He's a great real life pitcher. I like everything he does, but I just don't think I don't think I want to pay that much for a 26% K percentage. Now, the good thing about him is his low walk rate. His command is brilliant. So that's good, but yeah, I'm just not there.
Keith, your thoughts as far as Gallen? It's a tough lineup. A lot of power.
Yeah, exactly. It's a tough matchup for sure. And we're not getting any sort of a discount. The Rangers are kind of like Braves light in that there's just power all throughout their lineup. You look at some of these ISOs, they have 6 or 7 guys with a 200 or better ISO against right-handed pitching. I could see him having some success. I worry about the strikeout upside. The Rangers don't strike out a ton either. They're pretty patient. I think I'm going to try to go elsewhere. I certainly do like the ownership. I'll have a couple of shares, but I don't know that he's a guy that I'm trying to get overweight on just because of the price and the matchup. I'd rather take shots on guys like Bobby Miller, who are going to be even lower owned. And just those guys in the mid-range. Kikuchi, another guy showing low ownership with a decent price tag. Instead of paying all the way up to 11K for a guy in a tough matchup, just take a shot on one of these other guys that the matchup isn't quite ideal, but at least I'm saving a little bit of money.
JD Martinez went in the IL in case you guys missed it. Mike Trout activated from the IL. Is Trout going to be in the lineup tonight? He's 6,100 on DK, so no discount on DK. Sometimes you'll get a sneaky discount. Maybe you get something on Yahoo there, Kirkwood. He's 3.6 on Fanduel. And if that's really Mike Trout, 3.6 on Fanduel is a really good price for Mike Trout. What is he? You fire him up on Yahoo.
He's $17.
It's pretty good. Pretty good, right?
Pretty good. Yeah, but is it though for what he's been this season? I don't know.
Yeah.
And is he not going to? I mean, the thing about him is you need that stolen base upside. That's what like made him like so great for DFS. Yeah.
Pop quiz. How many stolen bases has Noah Syndergaard given up this season? I believe it's 76 innings. I was digging into it. 76 innings. One has got caught stealing. I don't know what happened. They must have tripped or stumbled.
Probably a pickoff. Probably a pickoff.
So
and they threw him out at second and then caught stealing.
Kirkwood, you guess the number, and Keith, you go over or under. What's the number, Kirkwood? How many stolen bases?
I have no clue. I just know.
What do you mean you have no clue?
I don't know how many he's given up, and I don't want to guess and make myself look stupid.
Keith, you put a number and you say over or under. We'll reverse the rules.
I'll put myself out there.
The data scientist can tell you how many stolen bases he's given up in chat.
I will go with 26.
I'll say 30 or 28.
Did you not hear the rule? Over or under? You don't have to say it. The whole thing, the whole reason why we flip flop is because you don't want to say a number, and then you're saying. I
got to go over under. Sorry, I wasn't listening. I wasn't paying attention.
I can do the math. You're going over. I figured.
I was grabbing his strike. I was grabbing his stolen base numbers for the last two seasons.
So in 76 of the third innings, he's given up 31 stolen bases this season, which is just insane.
Did I nail it right on the nose? Did I?
No. Well, you nailed it when you said over. You don't get to play it both ways. You can't victory lap it. I don't think it works that way. But you should have trusted your instincts. You should have trusted yourself. Besides that, he's been terrible too, like giving up over 2 homers per 9. So bad. And that's one of the reasons why we like the Dodgers.
But he's got revenge on his mind tonight.
Oh, yeah. What is your most memorable moment for the Noah Syndergaard reign for the Dodgers? What do you remember most about it, Kirkwood?
Stacking against him.
All right, fair enough. Keith, do you have any fond memories of Syndergaard playing for the Dodgers?
Can't think of one.
No.
I mean, I was loading up on stolen base in the the first week, like it just like they were like cutting us off, and like everyone was trying to just shove their money on stolen bases. And I remember I lost a boatload on the Diamondbacks not stealing, which it was Corbin Carroll. I was just firing, but that's what I remember most.
Did something happen with? I see people in the chat talking about as far as ownership. I don't know if it kind of reverted back to an old number. They must be tinkering and working on it as far as the tech team, as far as the projection team. But I just clicked refresh on Lineup HQ, and ownership is as of 9:19 in the morning. So I assume that's going to be fixed momentarily. Maybe we're getting a new batch coming in. Bet's not stealing as much as he used to, but his number was 3-1, Keith. I was just thinking, I was considering writing it up for scores and odds, basically. And we've only seen him steal like one base in the last like 2 or 3 weeks, maybe the last 3 weeks or so. I think he's got 8 on the season. But this just seems like the problem is he might just homer, right? And just you can't hit a home run and steal at the same time.
Where do you think he ranks in WAR this season?
Bets?
Yeah.
Well, I don't. I mean, could Keith, you put a number on it. I don't want to put myself out there. If I'll just go over or under.
What do you guys think? Anyone?
I mean, I say he's like top 5.
Yeah, I'd say he's up there as well.
Number 1, numero uno.
Is Acuna number 2?
I'll pull it up.
You still have it pulled
up? He brings that elite defense as well, which helps.
Shohei's number 2. Acuna's number 3.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Guess who's number 12? Oh, number 11. We should not mention.
Is that person gutless?
He's going to be taking a break from baseball for probably a long time.
Yeah.
He's a shortstop.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Is number 12? Kim?
But so if we could move up Kim, that's on Kim. Yeah.
What are the dog calls?
He is the only non-gutless player. Although Machado homered yesterday too. He is. Whenever I say the Padres are gutless, I should be playing Kim as a one-off, no matter what, because he is certainly not gutless.
Can you be gutless by association? Just like your surroundings, he catches like gutless.
In my mind, that's the problem. Is that I associate birds of a feather flock together, and I associate them all the same.
Yeah, I almost got there last night. Shout out to me. I finished, I think, 4th or 5th in the RotoGrinders single entry series on Fanduel. that's a good time to let people know as far as the single entry series. It's the $10 variety this week. Your top 4 scores, if you finish in the top, a certain number, you get additional payouts. Feel free, if you're playing on FanDuel tonight, do your first $10 should go to the single entry series, the RotoGrinders sponsored single entry series on FanDuel. And now I have to play. I was planning it anyway, but now I'm definitely committed to playing the rest of the week, and hopefully we put up 4 really, really good scores, and we can get to the top of that leaderboard. And that was in part thanks to Machado and Kim. And watching the game is never fun because Machado almost got there. He just missed. And then Tatis just missed also. And, I guess this stuff always. Is he gutless?
Yeah.
I mean, he's still like 23. Is he still really, really young? Like, it seems like he's been around for a long time. And I know he had his issues with he was popped with the steroids. But, probably a little bit inflated. But
did you see the Victor Conti thing on Netflix?
I haven't. No, I'll definitely watch it. I gotta watch that one. I gotta watch the Manziel one. There's the other thing that
Johnny Manziel. Then there's also the Johnny Depp and his divorce, the
Amber
domestic violence.
Yeah. Do we have to watch that? Like
it ruined. I was trying to build for UFC, and my girl had it on in the background. I couldn't, so I had to sit through all of it while I was doing lineups.
Shout out to Joe in the chat. Joe said that he finished 36 last night in the FanDuel single entry contest. Yeah, come at me. What was your big takeaway? The pooping is the thing, right? That's what everybody remembers, the poop in the bed. That's all I know about. I didn't follow the trial, but
yes, that was insane, right? It was so funny the way he was describing it. He was like, I promise you this was not human. I know that this was not my dog's feces, He's like, this was definitely.
I mean, you've been mad at sometimes in your life, right?
I may have threatened to send it to a few referees. I think I remember I used to be in RG chat back in the day and be like, I'm sending my dog's poop to this ref.
I never have I Rolodex so here's the things how I can get out my. It never that never popped up. It's like, oh, what I got.
So that reminded me of the show that I love, the vacation show. I'm drawing a blank on with on HBO. Great
Righteous
show.
Gemstones?
No, Vacation. God,
the White Lotus.
Yes.
Oh, the suitcase.
Yes, you remember that?
Yes. Yes, we're getting off the rails here at Kirkwood. We still have an hour and a half until lock. Do participate in the chat. What do you want us to talk about? We're talking about pitching. We'll get the stacks in a second. Crunch time comes in about, let's see, let's use my UCF math. 40 minutes. You got DerekCarty, CEO of the Bat and the Blitz. You have STL cards. You have Kevin Roth. Weather-wise, last I saw, we are pretty clear of anything precipitation-wise, but if anything were to pop up, Roth will be all over it. Let's kind of run down some more pitchers. And if you missed anybody, if you want us to talk about somebody, feel free to throw them out there. Or if you have
I'm seeing a lot of Bryce Elder love. A lot of Bryce Elder love in the chat.
Why?
So I'd be happy to address that. Yeah, exactly.
Please
why. First of all, the Mets are rolling out 7 lefties, I believe it is, and he has massive splits, righty-lefty. His strikeouts have also completely disappeared. I'm pulling it up now just so I have the exact numbers here. Since July 1st, his strikeout rate is 11.5%. His strikeout rate to lefties, who he's facing 7 of today, is under 2%. Bryce Elder is not in play for me today.
Even if you look at his season-long numbers, 17.6%. It's and then you factor in the weather over there. I also know that some sharps that were pounding the over in this game.
I just know we're mushing this by talking about it, but a 1.9% left.
He's gonna throw a gem.
1.9%. That's
what
crazy.
Is the sample? Is that 100 batters and he struck out 2 guys?
52 at bats or 52 plate appearances.
Okay, so it's 1 strikeout.
For this is the last 30 days.
You can't pay 8.3K for this.
No, it's a no-go. I know the Mets
are. You got Grayson Rodriguez sitting here in the 6,000s, and it's crazy.
I saw a comment in chat. Yao Pete said, "Don't talk about Kikuchi anymore. 5% is right about nice." Yeah, my bold call today in the expert survey. Tell me on a scale of 1 to 5 how bold this is. I don't know how bold it is, but Toronto, Baltimore scoreless after 5 innings. Is that a bold call, Keith? I like both sides of the pitching in that game. I do not like the hitters.
I think that's pretty bold. I have some interest in Baltimore bats. I have interest in Kikuchi also. I think the strikeout upside is something you definitely want to chase. But I've got some Baltimore love.
Yeah, I like the under in that game if you happen to be in the appropriate state for such things. Like both pitchers in that game. Kikuchi, the price has kind of worked its way up there, but I don't know. What does he have? Like, we don't really talk quality starts, but I feel like he's dropped like at least 6 straight quality starts. Talked about this ballpark being better protected for pitching when it comes to a pile of righty power. That's what Baltimore has, a fair bit of righty power. That's what Kikuchi is vulnerable to. Probably gets protected. He might give up a homer. It's certainly possible, but a little bit less likely. What's your take here, Kirkwood, as far as Kikuchi? And I know we like Grayson, and I'm fine, to be clear. I'm fine playing both in the same lineup. I don't need 2 wins. I'll take them. I'd like them. But, I'll take the good pitcher and just figure it out and get the 4 points elsewhere. But, yeah, Kirkwood, your official thoughts when it comes to Yusei Kikuchi?
I like him. I agree. I think this is this should shake out to be a pitching duel somewhat, hopefully, if things go the way I want it to. I mean, he's just been really good. Like, if you look at his season long numbers, 25% K percentage, that's fine. The walks have been down. It's 6. He used to really struggle with that. He's 6.6% walk rate on the year, a 3.93 Sierra, so a sub 4 Sierra, so that's pretty good. Let's look over the last 30 days. We've got pretty much the same from a strikeout percentage, but a decent swinging strike rate, or a decent called strike whiff percentage. Walks have been even better. So, I mean, he's just been solid all year. So, yeah, I have a lot of him. He's one of my favorite pitchers tonight.
We did get an update as far as ownership. Let's see if anything's changed. Let's see if they're listening to us talk. Giolito, 30%. Snell, 29%. This is on DK. Verlander, 17. Rodon, 17. So Rodon dropped. Rodon's down to 17 and Rodriguez up to 17. So like one's ascending and one's descending. Gallen at 13, Kikuchi at 9. Here's an interesting one, and I think this is going to be, and I think you mentioned them, Keith. Hogan Harris. What you going to do? Hogan Harris is going to be somebody that Carty is going to be liking. He's popping in the bat, last I saw at least. And the Royals stink, right? Harris is sort of fine, and he's cheap, and he helps you get all the bats. What's your official take when it comes to Harris? And I think we're going to have a discrepancy, right? We're projecting him for 12, 13 points on DK, and I'm pretty sure the bat's got him for a few more, which is getting him into some lineups. What do you have as far as Harris, Keith?
So Kirkwood's the one that actually mentioned him first, but I can speak to it a little bit. Is he actually starting is my first question. The A's have been doing this opener thing all season long, so an announcement of an opener would not surprise me.
It's already been announced. Danny Jimenez is starting.
Yeah, so, I mean, what's the pitch count look like in that situation then? I know we kind of downplayed Alec Marshall a little bit yesterday, and he did enter the game, and he did absolutely fine. But it's like you're taking on so much extra risk. I'm interested just because of the matchup here. The price tag is outstanding at $5,900. If I knew Grayson Rodriguez was actually going to be, what are we at, 17% right now? I would just say I don't need Hogan Harris. No thanks. Yeah. If Rodriguez is coming in 25-30, like I think it's possible he could, then I might be looking for pivots in this range, and I would be more willing to roster Hogan Harris a couple of times.
You mentioned him, Kirkwood. What are your thoughts as far as Harris?
Yeah, I have no interest. I'd much rather play like a Clevenger, even though I don't really like Clevenger. But if we're going to get down into this range, I'd rather play Wade Miley.
Gray's really cheap.
Yeah. John Gray?
Yeah. I guess there's 2 Grays. You're right. I was thinking John Gray.
Yeah. I mean, I could get behind that too. I think all of them I prefer to a Hogan Harris.
Marlins lineup is out. Soler is leading off. Arise is back in there. So it's Soler, Arise, Bell, who's been hitting a bunch of homers for the Marlins. Berger is cleaning up. Abastiel Garcia, I think, is really, really cheap. Jazz left on left is batting. Is that 6th? Gurriel, who's also super cheap but kind of terrible. Fortes and Birdie. We also have the Angels lineup, and I love this because you got Snell leading off, and why not? Snell leading off, Trout and Ohtani. You got to make sure Snell gets more at-bats than Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. Drury, Moustakas, Ohapi. I kind of an interesting cheap catcher. Grichuk, Renfroe, and Velasquez. Who was touting the Angels? That was you, right, Kirkwood? You had him 5th, and I think they're pretty interesting, especially with the addition of Trout. I like Drury. They're facing a reverse splits pitcher as well. The Moose is cheap. Ohapi is cheap. Snell, kind of joke about him leading off, but he's super cheap as well. How do we feel about the Angels stack here? I know we're talking pitching. We'll get the stacks in a second, Kirkwood, but I'm guessing you're feeling better with the addition of Trout.
Yeah, I like them anyway. So of course, but like it's more about price play. I mean, so you're getting Snell, who's a top pick that they rushed, right? But he's got some power, and he's leading off, and he's dirt cheap. So I have to like that. Obviously, I always like Shohei. Trout back should bring some upside. I don't know if I really will be playing much Trout tonight, though. But and what did Logan?
Hoppy's in there, yeah.
Yeah, he's in there. He's a cheap catcher play with some pop. So yeah, I just like the stack for pricing and and more as a secondary stack probably, an easy secondary stack to fit a bunch of others. Plus, the Cincy bullpen, if you get into it, I think this could work out well. And I'm not a big fan of Graham Ashcraft anyway, so I think it's a good spot overall.
There's some cheap first baseman if you want one. We talk about leading off there for the Angels. The option for, oh God, I'm losing his name. Snell, Vogelbach, facing Elder and his like 2% K rate versus lefties in the last month or so. And I think Rowdy Tellez is going to play tonight, or is he not? Nope, we just got the Milwaukee lineup, but he's not playing. I thought he'd be playing tonight. He's 2K. Yelich, Contreras, Santana, Frelick, Adames, Kana, Terang, Taylor, and Anderson. Okay, I thought we were getting Rowdy back. Producer Devin was scouting him. We also have the Padres, Kim, Tatis, Soto, Machado, Bogarts, Cronenworth. Sanchez is catching tonight. Cooper, little revenge game. I want to say, revenge game for Cooper. And then Grisham is batting in the 9-hole. Kirkwood, I know you're a big Woo guy. You're a big fan of Woo. Woo is back. But the tricky part is, how many balls are they going to allow him to throw tonight? Is it enough to consider Woo this evening?
No, I can't consider him until we see it. So, I mean, the bat has him projected for 68 pitches. He's kind of been kept under wraps anyway, and this is his first start back. So I just don't see the reason for it. And I'm a big fan of the Nature Boy, as you know.
Yeah, I know. And did you have a thought there as well, or is it the same kind of deal, Keith, when it comes to Woo? It's just we're not expecting enough pitches. The price is okay, 7.6 on DK. Don't see him getting a quality start on FanDuel. 80 pitches according to the Plate IQ. You said the bat is saying somewhere in the 70s. Let's see. A little bit less, I suppose. Yeah, Keith, what do you have as far as Woo? Same deal?
Yeah, very concerned about the pitch count here. He hasn't pitched in almost 3 weeks. He did not go on a rehab assignment. So, I mean, obviously he's been throwing simulated games and things like that on the side. But he's a guy, as Kirkwood said, just doesn't have a very long leash anyway. We often see him in the mid-80s after he's been fully stretched out and starting for 2 months. So the fact he's had 3 weeks off without being in any game action, a guy with a short leash anyway, I don't think you need to do it today.
All right. Anybody else we should mention? Anybody else we should talk about, Keith, as far as pitchers? We kind of like brushed over Verlander. If you land on him, I think he's fine. I'm not really seeking him out. Bailey Ober is fine, just seems a little too expensive. Like, if you want to pay up to be different, I think he's okay. As far as pitching-wise, feel free to talk about what you didn't talk about, and then just give me the summary when it comes to pitching.
So Bobby Miller is a name that I want to throw out there. Just super talented prospect, a guy with huge stuff. The matchup against Cleveland is never ideal. They're one of the lowest, if not the lowest strikeout team in baseball. But they're also not very good. There's no power in this lineup. Miller's 8,600. Another guy that has a pretty short leash. Like, you're not getting more than 6 innings probably. I think that's like a hard Dave Roberts cap. Probably going to be somewhere in the 85 pitch range, 85 to 90. You're concerned about the strikeout upside in this matchup against Cleveland, but he has the type of stuff where I could see him winning in this matchup. 6 clean innings and 6 strikeouts would not surprise me. And I think that's probably enough at 8,600. So I do have some interest in Bobby Miller.
Some names being thrown out in chat, and this is for the field. If you have like a take, if you have a positive, a negative, by all means. Derek is asking about Wade Miley. I'm not getting there.
I'm on board. I'm fine with him. I want to piggyback that Bobby Miller call. Digging into him, this kid is he's gonna have electric games. He has electric stuff. The thing that's been missing from him is his slider. He only threw it 8 pitches in the last game. He got some outs with it. He got 0 called strike whiffs from it. But if he gets that going, which he's gonna try, it's gonna happen. He's gonna have a good slider. When that thing starts cooking, his whole arsenal is gonna be unleashed, and this kid's gonna be a strikeout pitcher. So I like him. Now it's a little bit of a gamble. Is tonight gonna be the night where he puts it all together? I don't know, but it's a pretty safe matchup against Cleveland as it is. So I like him, especially if he comes in kind of with not much ownership here tonight. So I'm there. But Wade Miley, he's cheap, right? I don't know. I can't make a strong case for him, but
yeah, I'm not sold so far.
I'm trying. Let me look up. Let me look up what he did in his last one. So okay, he had.
Somebody in chat that said that Dean agrees.
Only thing is
I'm not agreeing yet.
I have no case to make for him. It's just that I would play him over some of the other guys in that range. And it's Minnesota, and he's just kind of fine.
Oviedo, Tony's asking about Oviedo. It's just another sort of nonsense. Like, could he survive? Sure. If anybody wants to pitch Oviedo, and then Joseph's asking about Luzardo. He's just been really rough of late, and I know the Padres have been gutless with the exception of Kim, but I don't really want to rattle that cage either with Luzardo, who's like not in his best form. Does anybody have a take when it comes to Oviedo? Want to give the thumbs up or the distinct thumbs down when it comes to those two, Oviedo, Luzardo, or it's just all sorts of meh when it comes to those guys?
It's definitely meh when it comes to Oviedo. I think I do prefer him over Wade Miley. Obviously, he's 1,000 more. The St. Louis offense has been great at times and really poor at times. So they're attackable. Oviedo has a bit of strikeout upside. He's still below average with the strikeouts, but you could tell the story where he gets 6 innings and 6 strikeouts, I suppose, against this St. Louis team. So I'm on board with Oviedo. Just another dart throw. Not excited about it, but wouldn't kick him out of the pool.
Big revenge game. For him.
Yeah.
And the Oviedo is quite a ride, right? This guy has his fastball is so bad, but his slider is good. I don't know. Alex Santi and I we've been playing him probably a little bit more than we should, but just the whole experience is quite a ride. So I think this is a good spot for him actually against St. Louis.
Is it strange to you? I know you dabble in the sides and total streets there, Kirkwood. Shouldn't Oviedo and the Pirates be a little bit heavier favorite against St. Louis? Minus 130 seems a little low against whatever's left of Adam Wainwright. Am I wrong to say that? I know this Pirates lineup's not spectacular, but
let me see what the bat says.
Yeah, I'm just a general thoughts. Alex hanging out in chat, by the way, also.
They're my second favorite stack tonight, so yes, I expect them to win. I also don't mind Oviedo. I mean, I think Wainwright is just so atrociously bad that
it's so over. It's so over for him. It's just not happening. He was like a magician for 3 innings his last time out, and then eventually he got exposed. At some point. By the way, they're asking about extreme pitcher umpires tonight. We have 2. Unfortunately for yourself, Keith, Bobby Miller has an extreme hitters umpire, as does Zach Gallen, as does John Gray, and as does Noah Syndergaard. Good luck to Syndergaard. Question for Kirkwood: Giolito or Snell? DK MME. Mr. Richard wants to know Giolito or Snell. Price says Giolito, but I'm not sure.
What's that? Was it to me?
Yeah, Giolito or Snell in a mass multi-entry DK tournament.
I'll have more Giolito.
Okay. All right. Anything else as far as pitchers? What you have to say, Kirkwood? Did you give the summary? Javi Baez apparently was scratched. I don't think, is he on this slate? It's a different slate, is it? Come on, producer Devin trying to derail the show. We're trying to talk baseball straight for 2+ hours.
No nonsense. That's on me. Yeah, no nonsense on me.
You know, I dropped Javi Lopez. That's many years ago for the Atlanta Braves. Yeah, I might as well drop him too. I dropped Javi Baez in my season-long league. I know people like my season-long talk. What a disaster. And they still have like $100 million more on the hook, Detroit. Like when they're theoretically good, he is long gone. And which was a worse signing, Keith? The Javi Baez signing or the Chris Bryant signing?
Bryant hasn't even been on the field. He's been injured for like 2 years straight. And it's not the same injury either. It's just wild what that guy's been going through. My Cubs really avoided disaster there by trading those guys away. I know the fan base wasn't excited about it, but we got a couple nice pieces back for each of them. PCA for Baez and a couple of guys that are Killian looked good for a while, but he's struggling now, and Canario from the Giants for Bryant. But yeah, both of those signings look like absolute disasters. The worst signing,
too, right? Oh, go ahead.
What's that?
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say the worst signing was Chris Bryant. He made absolutely no signing for the Rockies timeline. Like they were very clearly aging, and they had nothing in the farm system coming. It was a terrible signing. At least the Tigers had a ton of young talent. It hasn't exactly worked out. They dealt with a bunch of pitcher injuries, but at least they were adding a veteran Baez to an up-and-coming team. So I thought the Baez signing made sense. The Rockies signing of Bryant made absolutely zero sense.
Yeah, and I was starting to say that Rizzo kind of stinks too. So the Cubbies got rid of him at the right time.
Great gif of the 50-cent throw with Baez.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, that was spectacular. Was that pitcher? What's the guy's name?
Pitching Ninja.
Pitching Ninja. Yeah. He's a spectacular follow. If producer Devin, he can find that. Maybe I'll send it to him. We'll show it on the screen at some point. But it was spectacular for sure. Did you give your final thoughts, Kirkwood, as far as pitchers? I think you did. Maybe you didn't.
Like 10 times.
We got it. People coming in and out.
I'm going to do it again.
It's an hour and 50 minutes. It's a long game. What?
Uh-oh. Did we lose Kirkwood?
Yeah, Cincy lineup. Can you hear me? Are we good?
You're
Power
back
on through. Keep going.
Okay, we're good. All right. So I'm on board with taking advantage of a Cincy lineup. A lot of strikeouts there. They've struck out the second most over the last month. I think he's going to put it all together. It's nice to see the pitch count there, and he's up to 2 miles per hour in velocity on every one of his pitches. So I think he's on the upswing. So this could be the spot. I like Kikuchi a lot. I like Bobby Miller a lot. I'm fine with Blake Snell's ceiling. I don't like his ownership at all. So I think underweight is definitely the play there. And then I have to play. The Grayson Rodriguez pricing is just a mistake, and so I have to pounce on that.
Are you locked in right now as far as your pitching combinations on Yahoo or on your main DK lineup? You're still kind of figuring it out.
Yeah, it's Giolito, Grayson.
Okay. I mean, I was hearing you. It sounded like that's what you're saying. You're very transparent when it comes. If you're listening to what Kirkwood is saying, you basically can make his lineup. All right, let's talk about stacks. Before we get to stacks, we do want to mention it's 2.5 weeks away. We're getting excited. The NFL, it is here. We're more than ready than ever. The team of experts here at RotoGrinders, our suite of tools. Let RG handle the legwork so you can work less, win more this NFL season, get access to everything we have to offer at a special discount available only to those without an RG subscription. You can get a full season subscription for $50 off at the limited time price of $375. That sale is going to be ending opening night of the season, so get it while you can. I believe that's not this upcoming Thursday, not the next upcoming Thursday, but the next Thursday, about 17 days away. Are we excited about the Bears, Keith? Are we feeling like this is the year? Fields? It's going to be fun, right?
Still got some work to do on defense, but I think it's going to be a very exciting offense for sure. We'll see if the defense holds up, if they can make a run to the division title, but the offense should be exciting for sure.
And Kirk, what is it? You can point to your championships, I suppose, there in New England, but anything else exciting?
It's Zeke, baby. Let's eat.
Oh my God. It's so bad. It's so bad. I thought that was a sharp organization. Like, what are they doing?
I've paid attention to a very small amount of NFL, so I got to get cracking on that. I probably got to just get in the best ball streets to start tackling everything. It's the quickest way to get up to speed on everything.
I've been in that, man.
We're going to be back for the Tournament Takes podcast. We're going to be back.
Do we have an official lineup? Are we ready to unveil?
No, I don't think we have official lineup. I know me and Bobby Gomes are official. I don't know who the third is going to be. I think there was so I think we have a third, but I don't know if it's official.
We can probably announce it. It's official. It's Noto.
Noto. All right.
Cool. Noto. Oh, nice.
We'll be joining. And Dean, I have the clips you were requesting.
Oh, yeah. And also, Devin, since we're here, can we announce the pick six? So the people aware of the pick six?
Yeah, pick six is coming back. Yeah, we can go ahead and announce that too. We'll be having a formal announcement on everything coming back. But yeah, feel free to tease it for the people. Yeah,
Wednesday night, it's one of the best shows in the business, not because I'm on it, but because you got John Daigle and Rich Rebar, two of the absolute best football minds. And it's kind of sort of a first look because it's Wednesday nights. But I mean, look, I'm just there. I'm just a vessel for the information they spit out. But those guys are absolute fire. Rebar and Daigle are spectacular, and you're going to want to listen to that show if you're playing NFL DFS. And, of course, we're on Sundays. If you guys aren't aware, 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock? Do we know, Devin, for 3 hours?
Eastern. Yep. 10 Eastern is when we're going to start. Yep. Bright and early.
I got to set the alarm. 10 Eastern. Good Lord. All right. Maybe we'll pull some all-nighters. Okay. Let's Devin, show the people. Yeah, let's show the pitching ninja clip because it is spectacular.
And while searching for this one, I actually found another funny one that I thought you would enjoy.
What else you got?
Alternate edit.
Thank you. Well done.
Yeah.
All right. We have 15, 20 minutes till we yield to crunch time. Again, crunch time. You got DerekCarty. You have SDL cards, and we have Kevin Roth coming in. So stacks. Let's talk about our favorite stacks in the chat. By all means, whatever we don't cover, whatever we don't talk about, happy to answer all your questions. Give us the details. Tell us, are you playing on DraftKings, on Fanduel? Is it single entry? Is it a large field? Is it like a small field, single entry contest? Those kinds of things matter as far as answering your question. Fire off your questions. If it's a 2v2, whatever it may be, strategy question, by all means, happy to answer as many as possible. If we don't get to it, make sure you put it into the Discord channel, RotoGrinders.com/Discord. Go into the MLB chat Discord channel. Almost all those channels are free now. All you need is just a standard RG account. You don't need a paid account. There are some premium channels that still exist, but that one does not. RotoGrinders.com/Discord. The MLB chat, that's where Roth will be pulling his questions first. If time allots, he will go to the YouTube. All right. Myself, Kirkwood, and Squirrel Patrol, as well as Tim, Tasteful Tides. Kirkwood, not surprisingly, consensus-wise, we have Atlanta 1, Dodgers 2, Seattle 3, then Pittsburgh. You mentioned liking Pittsburgh, of course, because Wainwright. A little bit of love for the Yankees, a little bit of love for the Mets, and a little bit of love for the Angels. So how do you feel about that board? I guess I know how you feel about that board because I see what you ranked. But talk about stacks before I yield to Keith.
Yeah, the Braves are trying to at least be on the outskirts of gutless rankings. They're doing their best lately, but they're obviously the top spot here. I mean, McGill has been atrocious. The Mets bullpen has been bad, and this is great hitting weather. Probably, is it our best hitting weather of the night?
Well, the tricky thing is that Atlanta is not on Weather Edge. It's a long story as to why we can't get Atlanta. But Atlanta's pretty good, I think, as far as the heat. But I'm
90s.
Yeah.
20 degrees out there. It's going to be humid, so I'm going to assume it's a pretty good spot. And so they're number one. I like Pitt as my number two. It's Wainwright. It's been the cheat code this entire season except for his last start. I'm going to keep going back to it and just punishing him, hopefully. So, some of these guys in the Pirates have been swinging a good bat, like Brian Reynolds, Connor Joe, who Keith liked a lot yesterday. So that was a great call. Andy Rodriguez is a high upside cheap catcher batting fifth. So you can do a lot with the pieces in that game. So I like them. The Dodgers, obviously, against Syndergaard, you're going to get steal upside and power upside. And my favorites there, I mean, I like all the main ones. Muncy is one of my favorite plays on the slate tonight. But I like James Outman hanging out down there at 3.4K in this game. The Angels and Seattle are kind of my next two favorites.
By the way, Michael Busch in that Dodger lineup, it's the first time I'm seeing him. 2K on FanDuel, 2.4 on DK. He kind of flopped when he was up here before, but comes with a lot of promise of power. JD Martinez went in the IL, and I assume he's the guy they called up. Keith, did you catch that? Does that sound about right to you?
That sounds right.
Okay. Who is your favorite cheap catcher, by the way? You're mentioning it, Kirkwood. Somebody in chat was asking about favorite catcher. Mitchell was asking. And I think there's some options. Endy Rodriguez batting 5th against Wainwright. I think Washington's got a couple of Riley Adams and Ruiz, both against Rodon. Rodon fly ball issues, home run issues, just overall issues. Is your, and obviously available salary in the world, like Will Smith, spectacular. I'm good with Darno as well against McGill. Big Dumper, certainly in play. I assume he cracked that lineup. He did against Clevenger. Do you have a favorite lean when it comes to catcher? I guess it depends upon how much salary you have.
For the cheapies, it's Endy and Logan O'Hop.
Yeah.
I like the Big Dumper. I also like Alvarez at 3,900 down batting 7th. I just like that game environment. The Mets and the Braves. Those are my guys tonight. But obviously Will Smith always in play. But that price is much better on the Big Dumper. How high on do you think he's going to be tonight after hitting 2 bombs?
I don't think he's going to be that high owned at all. I think he's going to be, get some love. But Clevenger's not the worst. He's not super cheap.
He has run really good lately. If you look at all his advanced stats, even just the Sierra versus ERA, he's been running really good. And
Clevenger a 5 Sierra and a 3.26 ERA and a 5.37 xFIP. What is his?
Over the last 30 days, a 4.75 Sierra, 1.5 ERA.
A lot of fly balls, and he's not giving up a lot of homers. 7.8% homer in the fly ball. So that's a fair point. Maybe some of those fly balls turn into homers. Your favorite stacks, Keith? How did you feel about that board? Anything you want to kick off? Anything you want to throw on?
Feel pretty good about the board. Definitely Atlanta number 1. The nice thing is we get kind of the cheap version of the Atlanta stack today as well. With Darno in there over Murphy, you save a little bit of money, and I still like Darno plenty. Nicky Lopez in that lineup, not a fun roster, but totally fine in a stack. He can steal a base for you if he can get it. Manage to find a way on, that is. He's really cheap. You can use the reach around there with him to save some money. Eddie Rosario in the middle of that lineup I really like. So just saving a little money on the Atlanta stack, but still just as much upside against Tyler McGill for me. Love the Dodgers. They would be next for me. We get some cheap options in that Dodgers lineup too. So obviously we want to spend up for the studs like Betts and Freeman and Smith and Muncy. You mix in a couple of these cheap guys like Outman would be my favorite. Peralta is hitting 5th. I like that. And Michael Busch, like you mentioned, really strong prospect, struggled in his first go about at the majors. Maybe he learned some things when he got sent back down. I'm totally fine with rostering him. He had second base eligibility before. Looks like he's third base. That kind of stinks because I definitely want to play some Muncy. But if you need to save some money, I don't hate that option. I would have the Pirates next. It's Adam Wainwright. They're cheap. They could absolutely smash him like so many teams have done this season. For me, the team I would drop is the Yankees. They're I just don't like this lineup. They've struggled so much this season. Gray has given up more power to lefties, and they're extremely right-handed heavy. I really had interest in Jake Bauers, but he did not crack the lineup.
Yeah,
so
that was weird.
Yeah, definitely weird there. So extremely right-handed Yankees lineup. Not very interested in them. That would put the Mets 4th for me. Definitely like this spot for the Mets with all the lefties. Some very cheap options. We talked about Elder struggles against left-handed batters. So you've got a very cheap Vogelbach, a very cheap DJ Stewart. You've got an elite option in Brandon Nimmo at the top, Francisco Lindor. Alonso, not a lefty, but certainly a guy you can play in any matchup. Love Kirkwood's Alvarez call as well as a cheap catcher. I like this Mets team quite a bit. They would definitely be on my board. And then Angels, I think, would be next. With the return of Trout, it lengthens that lineup. No discount on DK, but you do get him a little cheaper on FanDuel. The rest of the lineup is really cheap. Love O'Hoppe is a cheap catcher. Moustakas is really cheap. Even the righties at the bottom, I don't think anybody is playing at all. Randall Grichuk and Hunter Renfroe. Ashcraft struggles with power to both sides of the plate. Those are two guys with massive power. So Grichuk and Renfroe, two of my absolute favorite tournament outfielders.
some questions in chat. And by the way, we've not begged or groveled or even asked, not much as far as hitting the like button, but we're getting to that point. We want to give away the Juggalo bombs. We want to give away Eisters, Fleisters. We want to give away the dongs. I mean, it says deliverer of dongs. I've delivered no dongs so far. And we're out of here like in 10 minutes or so. So let's hit that like button. Hit that like button. We'll get all the bombs out. The Juggalo bombs, the dongs, and the Eisters, Fleisters. Yeah, you can subscribe as well. Hit that like button, subscribe, do all the things. We much appreciate it. Some questions in chat. This is for Keith. Flying Armbar wants to know, cheapest pitcher that you would play on FanDuel. I know Rodon's really cheap over there, but I don't think I'm playing him. Is the answer Grayson Rodriguez? Who's the cheapest pitcher you would play on FanDuel? How much is Bobby Miller? $9K.
Yeah, so Grayson Rodriguez is the cheapest pitcher I would feel comfortable playing. If you want to get really crazy, yeah, I mean, Miley's only 300 less. Clevenger's only 200 less. It's not that's not enough savings for me to want to go any crazier than Grayson Rodriguez. The answer is Grayson.
So I see several people, and I saw it floated out there earlier today as well, talking about, is Greinke playing baseball tonight? I thought it was Zerpa throwing baseballs tonight for the Royals. Have we seen a switcheroo, or is there kind of a mixed information out there? Keith, anybody know as far as Greinke throwing baseballs professionally for the Royals?
We do not have him listed on the lineups page, and I'm just double checking the projections chat to see if there's any chatter there. Don't see anything. I know that there was rumors that he was coming off the injured list today. I don't know if that officially happened. If Greinke did get activated, I would say that this very well could be a piggyback situation. Hear what I'm saying? Not an opener and bulk reliever situation,
like
but a
4 and 4?
piggyback. Yeah, exactly. Like Zerpa's going to go 3 or 4, and then Greinke could come in for 3 or 4. I think that's totally viable. But I mean, we're not risking shots on Zach Greinke even against the A's just because he might throw 3 innings today.
Yeah, I mean, I think the question is probably more so like, do you consider the A's? Although, like, they're still the A's, but yeah, you're not rostering either pitcher. Let's see. Kirkwood, Derek wants to know France or Teoscar to finish the Seattle stack. Who do you prefer?
France.
All right. Keith, Steelers wants to know Dodgers or Brave stack, leaning Dodgers.
Whew. Oh, man. Obviously, both fantastic options. If I am forced to pick one, I think I'm going Dodgers also.
Kirkwood, what do you think of a Kansas City mini stack on FanDuel? I like Wits. Sal Perez has got a really good price over there. What are we talking mini stack? 3? 2? 3?
Yeah, 3.
Who's the third? 3. Who's the third person?
There's Massey, there's Perez, there's Bobby Witt, there's Garcia. I mean, any of those.
Okay. We don't have a Kansas City lineup just yet, right? Unless I missed it. I don't think it's come out just yet. But, yeah, Perez is a good price, and Witt is spectacular. So, sure. Let's see. McCann apparently is a lefty masher. We missed them when we're running down some catchers. Where are we at as far as likes, Devin? We got to fire up the gimmicks. We got to get them all out there. All the
108. Yep. If we want to get a Juggalo bomb.
Kirkwood, you happen to have a Juggalo bomb with the people?
It's too easy.
Yeah, come on. Walk the plank a little bit.
Well, I mean, I'm going to give the easy one first. Shohei is the easy one.
Sure.
And we're going to say Francisco Alvarez.
Okay. Keith, you want to see those and raise them?
Yeah, let's go. I will go Max Muncy as my easy one off of Syndergaard. I will go Jorge Soler to hit one off of Blake Snell. And
I love that one.
Ryan Mountcastle off of Kukuchi.
Those numbers.
Yeah, his OPS his ISO is over 400 against left-handed pitching this year. That is just a ridiculous number that you do not see ever. Yeah, 429. Devin.
429. Yeah, 462 WOBA. It's pretty spectacular. Prototypical leadoff hitter Jorge Soler. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. As a one-off, he's a fine one-off. You can play him a la carte, right, Keith? You don't need a full Marlin stack for him.
Absolutely, but I don't mind the mini stack. You can definitely throw Jake Berger and somebody else in there. I'd be totally fine with the mini stack. Josh Bell,
Devin.
probably the other guy.
I saw Devin popping up. I don't know if Devin has any homers for the people. I know you do your research. You have your notes. You got anybody?
Do we have the
conversation?
Can people see the Devo Knievo sign in the back? Zoom in on that?
They might not be able to at this angle, but
we got to zoom in on it.
There it is. Yeah.
You won a tournament. You splurged.
I splurged. Yeah, I splurged a little bit earlier this year. One of my wins. Thanks, GW. You
got it. It's just science, Devin.
Yeah, it's just data. So Michael in chat said that's a little excessive. 2 kinds of data. To answer your question, though, no, I do not have any home run picks. No vegan bombs for the people. I'm running late today. I got a lot of stuff I'm working on, covering for Steve, so I'm doing 2 people today.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Steve,
is this it?
Steve let us all down. Steve let us all down.
Hey, he actually
on his honeymoon or something.
He went, got married this weekend. Yeah, and actually, we saw some lovely photos. He and his wife went to the Parthenon here in Nashville. He shared some photos of it.
Okay, he didn't share any with me, and now I know where I stand with Steve.
You're not in the company Slack channel, dude.
That's unfortunate. Which gray are we talking about? Shannon wants to know: are we talking about John or Josiah on DK? If we're going to power rank grays, I think we prefer John over Josiah, right, Keith? I think.
To be honest, looking at that Yankees lineup, I'm starting to consider Josiah a little bit. Yes, John Gray is the guy we were referencing earlier in the show. He's really cheap. He's probably a better pitcher than 6,700. It's a low strikeout matchup though against Arizona, so but the price kind of factors that in. So I'm willing to take some shots on John. Looking at that Yankees lineup, though, has me considering maybe a splash of Josiah as well.
Am I going to regret not playing Aaron Judge? I don't think I'm playing Aaron Judge, Keith. Is that
I think he's hitting I think he hits a homer tonight.
I mean, Gray's kind of like, I don't want to say he's like covered him up, and he's not serving up the homers he did last year. Last year it was exorbitant, especially to lefties. I'm more on the Washington side in this game. Actually, let me fire off some of the dongs as well. I'll fire off 3 for the people. I'm going to be pretty ambitious, but I'll take Lane Thomas as my first one.
Wow.
I like Lane Thomas in a mini Washington stack. Also, you can steal on Rodon, so you can absolutely play Abrams left on left versus Rodon, and Rodon also walks people. So what's going to happen is Abrams is going to lead off this game with a walk. He's going to steal a base, and then Lane Thomas is going to homer. It's going to be 2-0 right away, and 20% of the field is going to be tilting their face off, maybe 15, we'll see, as far as Rodon. The Husky Team Girth, Daniel Vogelbach, is taking on Elder and his 2% K rate this month against lefties. Vogelbach is going to girth his way into one. He's going to bang one out in Hotlanta. 11, by the way, the total on that board, mostly due to the Atlanta side. 6.5 is their total, but the Mets are getting 4.5. 91 degrees, wind blowing out toward right center. And my third one is going to be an Angel, but not that one and not that one. It's Drury. We're going to go with Brandon Drury. Ashcraft, kind of reverse splitsy, kind of a neutral pitcher, batting cleanup. Going to come up with a couple ducks on the pond there. He's going to pitch around Ohtani. Ashcraft, that is. Drury is going to go yard. That is 3 homers for the people. Let's see. Hopefully we get one. At least one. One will do. We'll take 2 out of 3. That's not bad. Atlanta stack, Kirkwood. Who are we prioritizing? Olsen, Harris, Riley? Yes. Yeah, how do you decide amongst those 3?
You always go Olsen first. I mean, Olsen. They're all awesome, but Olsen, Riley are obviously the bigger home run threats. But you get some speed with Harris.
And I've done this long enough to know whichever one you leave off of that stack, go ahead and put a home run bet down on.
That's only on Dean.
You got it. Keith, Ryan has a question. If you have the option to play any top 4 pitcher on DK, who are you starting? Salary is not a thing, apparently.
Top 4 on price? By default, it's Gallon.
Yeah.
I also wanted to address a question from Mochi in chat. Am I sure about my Josiah numbers? I assume that he's talking about my comment about him struggling against left-handers, and he does bring up a good point. Gray did develop a cutter this season. His numbers to lefties have not been awful this season because of that cutter. He's throwing it almost 18% of the time, and it has helped him neutralize what was once a massive problem in left-handed power. He has been better against lefties this year, so he's correct in that it's not as distinct of a split this year as it was last year. But just historically speaking, he's always struggled with left-handed power. He did mitigate that a little bit this year.
He gave up like 3 homers per 9 last year, lefty. If I remember correctly, the number was exorbitant. It was close to 3, right?
Yep.
That sounds about right.
Yep, that's correct. But he did develop a cutter to help with that.
So Chopstash 777 has gone heel and turned on me, saying,
Hey, turn on me.
But he says copying content. Somebody else was saying Vogelbach homering in a. Did I miss that?
It's a chop burner, or it's somebody from our secret chat. I can guarantee this.
Yeah, it's a new name. I don't recognize. That's a name that would stand out for sure. You're basically.
Can we get an IP?
Devin, I know Devin's spinning like 17 different plates. Can you spin one more plate, Devin, and figure out the exact GPS location?
Pretty sure legally I can't do that one.
Well, I mean, nobody's watching, right? Oh, well, that's unfortunate. People are. Don't do that. Definitely do not do that. We got Kevin Roth. We have DerekCarty. We have Justin Van Zuiden STL cards. You probably missed it the other day, Carty, but Roth did a little homage to you with his buttons. Unfortunately, we can't duplicate that again. Roth is not dressed to the nines. He's a little more casual today.
Can't believe I missed it.
Oh, we went all buttons open. Not a single button was holding on.
That is disappointing.
What's up, boys?
I can't believe I wasn't there.
What's happening, Dean? How are you?
Doing well. Yeah. It should be a fun slate. I think it was a fun show. We do appreciate the people watching the first portion here until we yield to the Fanduel sponsored Crunch Time. I don't know if you guys got anything else as far as Kirkwood or Keith before we step aside and make way for the Fanduel sponsored Crunch Time. I got nothing else as far as the crossover, but Kirkwood, final thoughts? Anything to add to the conversation before we yield?
No, someone asked for the top 3 gutless rankings on the slate.
Oh,
so I just gave the answer, and so that's going to be the Yankees, the Padres, and the Cardinals.
Is that in the bat? I look at the bat. I've never seen the gutless rankings, Carty. Do you have that somewhere?
Proprietary model. I'd be willing to talk if he wants to incorporate that. We can set up a meeting, set up a Zoom call.
We'll definitely talk numbers. Yeah.
Can I get a 10% finder's fee for putting this connection together? Little kickback.
Comes out of Kirkwood then if you're getting 10%.
Yeah, that's all right. I'll employ you, Dean. Don't worry. We got a spot for you at Kirkwood Incorporated.
All right. Could we finally figure out the dew point model? Because it's been years. I'm dying to know what dew point is.
All right. Now
there was a meteorologist.
Now you're fired.
Yeah.
You yapped a little too much there. You had it and you blew it.
Keith, you got anything else?
Nothing else for me.
That's Keith. That was Kirkwood. I was Dean. It's Roth. Roth, take it away.
Good show as always, gents. Welcome to it. It is crunch time, and it's the time we bring on 2 of the sharpest minds in the biz. We got DerekCarty, the creator, inventor, and CEO of the Bat and the Bat X. What up, Carty?
Not much. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. It has been a quiet weather stretch for maybe the first time all year. We've had like 3 days in a row without drama, and I'm liking that, Carty.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty exciting. Makes things a little bit easier for us tonight, too. So I have no complaints.
We're all on board. It works. Also, I think the best hitting weather is probably with the best hitting team, or at least one of the best hitting teams in Atlanta. I assume the Bat over there is all about those Atlanta Bats.
Yeah, Atlanta Bats are awesome tonight.
Yeah, it's a spot to be. It's hot, it's humid, winds are gently blowing out. It's good stuff, and it's Atlanta, so they're pretty good. We got STL cards in the house as well. What's happening, cards? Were you offended when you heard your Cardinals mentioned in the gutless rankings there?
No, I agree, it's. I've pretty much given up on really even watching at this point. So let's bring on the football for some entertainment. But I can root against them. You can always stack against Adam Wainwright. So he's pitching tonight. We'll get into that. But you guys got no complaints. I got complaints. It's really hot. I can't fathom the heat that is coming through the Midwest at this point. And I just pulled up 3 p.m. tomorrow for my zip code, and it says 98 feels like 118. That is a problem, and you walk outside right now and it feels like I could cook a pizza on the driveway. It's insane, but glad for not having to deal with rain in these baseball games, but I'd take a shower right now.
I'm kind of in the same boat. In Houston here, we've been over 100, and keep in mind, Houston is humid as hell. This is not a dry heat. This is the muggiest kind of heat in the world. It's been over 100 degrees for 23 straight days. And today we broke our streak because it was like 99. And now we're right back to like 105 every day. I'm over it. I would love some rain and a little cooler weather. But hey, we got to dive into the content side of things. That's what we're here to do. We're here to talk some baseball. Let's start with either Carty, an overview, or you can dive right into pitchers.
Yeah, it's it's a slate where I think the best offenses, both expensive and cheap, are kind of obvious. Pitching, we definitely have a bunch of names on this slate, but a lot of them aren't projecting as well as you might think. There's some hold your nose cheap plays that I think are really good tonight. So the slate's kind of got a little bit of everything.
Okay, well then let's dive into it. We'll start with some pitcher talk, and I will let you walk through both FanDuel and DK, please.
So the top pitcher on the slate, I think, is Lucas Giolito. We do have Blake Snell. We do have Justin Verlander. We have Zach Gallen. Giolito, though, is in the best spot. He's not as talented necessarily as some of these guys, but the spot is really good. Cincinnati is they're a well below average offense. They've been overperforming by a lot. They're exciting, Ellie De La Cruz and all these young guys and like whatever, and they just called up another prospect, but like you look at them as a whole, and this is a below average lineup. And it's also the most strikeout heavy lineup of the entire day. And they're taking a pretty significant park downgrade going from Great American into Angel Stadium. And so Giolito, I think, is the guy that you prioritize in cash games. He's cheaper than the other guys too, which is nice on both sites. So it's not hard to get him. He's the clear guy. Like you play Giolito in cash and that's it. On DK, where you need to pair him with someone, I think there's a bit more of a discussion. You can spend up for Blake Snell if you want, but personally, I think because of how much good offense is on this slate, specifically Atlanta, I'd rather just go with a cheap guy. The cheap guys don't project that much worse than like the Snell Verlander types anyway. So Grayson Rodriguez is 6.1K. The matchup against Toronto isn't awesome. Toronto's good. They don't strike out a ton, but it is a bit of a park downgrade. Grayson Rodriguez has, good stuff. He's an elite prospect. He's too low for what his talent level is. And so even though he doesn't project amazing, nobody on the slate really does. And he's 6.1K. So I like Grayson a lot. I like Hogan Harris a lot also. I liked him more before they announced there was going to be an opener before him, but this matchup is about as good as it gets. He's in Oakland, best pitching weather against Kansas City, who's terrible. He's 5.9K. Won't go as deep with an opener in front of him, but chances of a win go up a little bit. So at his price, I think he's really, really good. I probably don't do it in cash. I probably go to Rodriguez, but I definitely wouldn't tell you wrong to play Harris instead. And then in GPPs, you can do the Snell thing, the Verlander thing, Kikuchi, Gallen. Mike Clevenger is fine as another like cheap guy. Wade Miley is fine as another cheap guy. It's one of those slates where like after you get past the top tier, there's not a lot separating the rest of the guys. And so leaning on the cheap side, I think is fine, especially when those cheap guys have upside. Miley's against the Twins. Hogan Harris is against Kansas City. So I have no problem with the cheap guys tonight and saving some money for offense.
Okay, one name you did not bring up, Brian in the chat says, what about Woo on FanDuel in a GPP? I'm not sure what its price is on FanDuel. Any interest?
It doesn't matter. That's not going to be for me. What does he cost? He's not going to project well. Brian Woo hasn't made a start in 3 weeks, didn't do a rehab start. As far as I know, didn't do a simulated game. All he's done is kind of throw on the side and did a 30-pitch bullpen session on Thursday, at least that I can find. There's been nothing else. So, he's good. The matchup is okay. It's not as good as people want to think it is. Chicago's not a big strikeout team. It's a tough park. But I don't think he's going to go super deep. So I just don't think the upside is there for him tonight.
Okay, great. Wonderful answer. All right, let's kick it over to our guy STL Cards, talk some tournament plays. Can we start with Rodriguez cards? Because when I see he's got the rainbow tags, he has literally every tag, and he's dirt cheap, and we have great bats. I just feel like everybody's going to play that dude. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I mean, he'll be somewhat popular, and it's tough because everyone feels like you need the safety of spending on a top guy, but I really don't think this is the slate for that. You know, Carty mentioned that Giolito is probably your cash game guy, and then you can pivot elsewhere in tournaments. But he's not even overly enthusiastic about Giolito, and I'm even less enthusiastic about Giolito, especially in tournaments. I mean, this is a guy, if you go back to the last month and a half, his walk rate is like 12%. And, you know, what's saving him is that he's one of the only guys that you can count on for like 100 plus pitches. And he's facing a Reds team that has really tailed off lately. So I think Giolito's fine. I do not want to play Giolito at 30% ownership in a GPP. It just doesn't make sense to me to play Giolito, Snell, and these guys. You know, Snell is the perfect example of a guy that when he's chalk, I mean, it doesn't matter what matchup Blake Snell's in. If he doesn't have his control, he's going to walk 5 guys. He's going to throw 102 pitches in 5 innings, and then he's going to be done. So the times I like to play Snell are maybe in tougher matchups where he's getting overlooked a little bit. And you got, at least on DraftKings where you have to play 2 pitchers, you've got those 2 guys soaking up like 60% projected ownership tonight. So I've got no problem going cheap. I mean, I think Rodriguez, Kikuchi, Hogan Harris, Clevenger, even Zerpa, I think is fine tonight at 5K flat on DraftKings, just because it opens up your salary doors to spend on the top 2 offenses tonight, which are going to be, pretty clear. And if you go with a lower owned cheap pitcher, then that's going to differentiate your lineups enough to where you don't have to worry about being, super different, even if you're stacking the Braves. If you want to be different on the high end, maybe you go with Zach Gallen in a tough matchup instead of Giolito or Snell. But, Giolito, Snell, even throw Verlander in that mix as well. I mean, his strikeout prop is only 5.5. And those are 3 of the guys that are going to be the most popular on this slate. I think it's the night to go different, to go cheaper at pitcher. If I'm going to play somebody chalky, it's going to be the cheapest chalky guy, which is Rodriguez. So I want to save up money to spend on bats tonight.
Okay, fair enough. We will get to bats in a second. Jerry says, in FanDuel Cash, who is your pitcher to build around? Are we just going with Giolito and kind of the safety there, or do you want to go with the Rodriguez at that spot?
I mean, it's a little more difficult on FanDuel because you only get 1 pitcher. And if you're just going based on the projections and the matchups, then yes, Giolito is the play. In cash games on FanDuel, he's $1,200 cheaper than Snell. So I would go Giolito over Snell, but in tournaments, I still don't like either one.
Okay. And then we're getting a few other names. David says, Carty, what do you think about Wade Miley? Another person says, any interest in Ashcraft? A couple names I don't think anybody mentioned.
I think I mentioned Miley briefly. I don't like him as much as some of these other cheaper guys, but you can definitely mix him into your GPP pool.
Okay. And then Ashcraft is the other one.
Ashcraft's going to be a no for me.
Okay.
Yeah, that his numbers are pretty underwhelming. He hasn't been as bad as he was in the first half of the season, but the Angels do get Mike Trout back tonight, and that's a big boost to their lineup, giving some protection to Ohtani. So I'm out on Ashcraft as well.
Okay, very good. Well, let's talk about some of the stacks. Before we do so, did you guys know the show is sponsored by FanDuel? Probably. We've been doing it all year. Make sure you sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook if you're in a legal sports betting state. Take advantage of their awesome bonus offer. This is a relatively new one here. New customers bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets, plus $100 off NFL Sunday ticket. Pretty cool little deal they got going on there. Terms and conditions do apply, but make sure you are taking advantage of it. No code needed. There you go. You got the button right there on our website on RotoGrinders. Okay, Cards. Let's talk some of the stacks. Are we starting in Atlanta? Is that the beginning point, the focal point?
Yeah, the beginning point is Atlanta. The number 1 pivot is the Dodgers, and then it's kind of everybody else way beyond that. And the one thing we know about the key options in the Atlanta offense and the key options in the Dodgers offense, they're very expensive. So you're not going to find a world tonight in which you're playing Giolito, you're playing Blake Snell, you're playing Freddie Freeman, you're playing, all the Atlanta guys in the middle of that order. It's just not going to work. So the good news is if you play Grayson Rodriguez, if you play one of the super cheap pitchers in your GPPs, This is the time of year where when it's hot and when teams are projected to score, 6 runs, they can break a slate when there isn't a single pitcher projected as a dominant arm. So that's what saving money gets you. I think it's Atlanta number 1, Dodgers number 2. You can throw a whole mix of teams in the stacking realm beyond them. The Mariners have been red hot lately for like the first time all year. I am not quite as high on them as I think some others will be against Clevenger, but I do think that they're a pretty good risk reward group. Tonight, I think Arizona is interesting as kind of a lower owned stack against a decent pitcher. The Pirates and the Cardinals. I mean, Adam Wainwright is pitching tonight, and he has been the worst pitcher in baseball this year. So even though it's never fun to stack the Pirates, you can pretty much stack, insert whatever team name is facing Wainwright at this point. So as much as I don't want to say that, the Pirates are in play as well as a cheaper stack. They're a little more gettable if you are spending on pitching.
Okay. And I did just want to bring this up. Cully in the chat says, surely Cards, Wainwright can get a quality start against this lineup, right?
I don't think Wainwright could get a quality start against a decent high school team at this point. He's basically just throwing BP.
Yeah. All right. I kind of thought that was the answer, but wanted to give it to you anyways. All right, Carty, where are you at stack wise? Is it also Atlanta and then Dodgers and then a smattering?
Yeah, Atlanta's kind of above everybody else by a good amount. I think the Dodgers are closer to the pack than they are to Atlanta. But the Dodgers are great. They're against Syndergaard, who's not good, who's very easy to steal on, and they're the Dodgers. So those are going to be most of your priority spends are going to come from Braves and Dodgers. I really like the Pirates thing too. The bat really likes the Pirates as a cheaper option here. In kind of like the mid-ish range, the Yankees look like a really good point per dollar stack that has plenty of upside against a fly ball pitcher who can have control issues at times. I like the Padres a lot, especially on FanDuel. The Padres project really, really well. But I agree. I think teams like the Diamondbacks, I think the Mariners are really good tonight. The Mets, there's a number of good ones on this slate that aren't the Braves.
Okay. I'm glad you brought up Mets because we talked about yesterday in a similar spot, great weather. We were all talking up Arizona, and it ended up being the Mets that scored 10 runs. They are certainly in the mix, you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Okay. We've done some pitcher talk. We've done some stack talk. Let's go around the horn position by position. Of course, we're going to take your questions as well. Hit us with a little thumbs up if you don't mind as you're watching on the YouTube. We got a few other teams getting thrown out, like Angel stack, a Twins mini stack. Carty, you want to quickly yay or nay those?
I think they're fine. Probably not the Twins, but the Angels I'd be fine with. Trout's back tonight, which is nice.
Okay. Let's go around the horn. Carty, start us off with some catcher talk if you don't mind.
Yeah, so catcher, I don't think you have to spend up a catcher. If you are, like Will Smith is obviously going to be the top guy, definitely in your Dodger stacks. But there's a bunch of good cheap catchers tonight that I think in cash, because we're going to have expensive guys at every other spot that we're going to really like. I think you probably just save money at catcher. You play a guy like Endy Rodriguez for Pittsburgh. You play a guy like Logan O'Hoppe for the Angels, and you kind of just call it a day. In GPPs, you can definitely go homer hunting with guys like Cal Raleigh, Wilson Contreras, Francisco Alvarez is well priced tonight. Certainly in your Met stack, you want to include him. So there are other guys, but optimally, I think you're just punting catcher.
Cards, you got any other names you want to add to that mix?
Yeah, I think it's pretty clearly on a point per dollar basis. Rodriguez and O'Hoppe are the top two options. And Cal Raleigh hit a home run last night. If you haven't seen it, that seemed like it left the ballpark in about 1.5 seconds. Just barely stayed fair, but it was ridiculous. Line drive homer last night. Always
did he hit 2 last night?
Yeah. Well, I can't remember now. The days all muddled together. I know they hit 2 or 3 in that inning, and I didn't catch the end of the game. But in any case, he's always good home run bet. Don't mind Wilson Contreras. Travis d'Arnaud will probably be one of the lower owned Atlanta guys tonight, simply because he's a little more apt to be left out of Atlanta stacks, especially at that price, and the fact that he's hitting 7th. I don't mind including him in your Atlanta stacks if you want to try to maybe make them a little bit more unique.
Very good. How about first base?
So first base is the spot where if you are saving at pitching, you are doing it so you can get Olsen or Freeman at first base. Like I don't see any path where this isn't a spend spot if you are saving with your pitching options tonight. So Olsen, Freeman, clearly the top two. Pete Alonso's been red hot. You can always play him in GPPs. I know Dean called the Vogelback homer on the last show. So, if you're going punting, you can go with him. Ryan Mountcastle against the lefty is always fine. Connor Joe is one of the Pirates guys that's really cheap. But to me, I'm going to try to get Olsen or Freeman here.
Carty, what are you doing at first? Spend ups as well?
Pretty much that. Yeah, Olsen and Freeman are great. Alonso, I really like. I think he'll be a little bit lower owned than the other two. And Connor Joe is the cheap guy. Like these cheap Pirates tonight are a real thing. So I think that's first base.
Okay, nice. By the way, Showboat King says the big dumper did in fact hit 2 home runs last night. Got a 43 burger and won him $600. So good job. Never wrong to go with the big dumper. Glad to hear it. I do believe, Carty, that brings us to second base.
So second base is one position where the high-end options I don't think are a priority. Like I think this is another saving spot. You can spend up on Mookie if you want, certainly in your Dodger stacks, and he's awesome. But other than that, I don't think the high-end guys are appealing. And we have Ji-Hwan Bae leading off for Pittsburgh tonight against Wainwright. He's 2.7K on DraftKings. Honestly, you just play him in cash. On FanDuel, you don't get as much savings with him relative to the mid-tier guys. So I think you're more likely to play a guy like Gleyber Torres. I think Ketel Marte is interesting. I think Tommy Edman is interesting. Brandon Drury is interesting. But my favorites are Torres on FanDuel and Bae on DraftKings.
Okay, Cards. A lot of love for Bae. Is he your Bae as well?
I mean, it's hard not to be with that price leading off against a bad pitcher. So I also have not much of a clue of anything on Vinny Capra, but he is also in that Pittsburgh lineup, and he's second base eligible on DK, and he's 2,000. So if you want Stone Min, you got Stone Min there that you can play at a weaker position. Not necessary on FanDuel where the salary cap is less restrictive. He's also, I believe, third base over there. So I really like Drury as well in GPPs. Ashcraft has shown reverse splits over the last couple of years. So that's a play that I think you can make in tournaments. Let's see. Ha-Seong Kim, I think, is an interesting GPP play as well. Like you're getting good hitters here that are facing decent pitchers. Marcus Semien against Gallen. Ha-Seong Kim, a few other guys that you can get at like 1%, 2%, 3% ownership tonight that I don't mind if you're wanting to get super creative with your GPP lineups. Altuve not going to have much ownership tonight either. So that is pretty much second base. I do agree with Carty, though, that it seems like the optimal strategy, particularly if you're spending any money on your pitcher, is you're probably going to have to go cheap here. Because you're probably going to want to spend at the corner infield spots or at least, 1 or 2 of your outfield spots.
But if you're double punting pitcher, you can go up and get Mookie Boots. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, you could. Obviously, if you're double punting pitcher, you're probably still going to have to go cheap at maybe 1 or 2 spots. But, catcher is a good spot to do that. One of your outfielders is a good spot to do that. So, yeah, you could certainly spend on all the infield positions for second, third, and short if you wanted to, if you're doing the double cheap route.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. How about, I think that takes us to third base.
Yeah. So once again, it's going to be another position where you see a Brave and a Dodger at the top. So you got Austin Riley and Max Muncy. Certainly you're not going wrong with either guy. I generally prefer Riley, but Muncy, at least, especially on DK, gives you 1,100 in savings. Suarez, his price has come up a little bit. He's up to 4,100 on DK now. I like him a little better on FanDuel where he's 28, but he's taking some really good at-bats as the Mariners have gotten hot over the last few days. I don't love a lot at this position. My pool is very narrow. Jake Berger against Blake Snell, I think, is interesting in GPPs as a one-off kind of home run play. Machado, same thing. Like you can get a little cute at third base tonight if you want to in a tournament. Devers, these are guys that are going way under the radar tonight.
Okay. Carty, what are you doing there at third base?
Yeah, if I can get up to Riley or Muncy, that's what I want to try to do. I don't think it's especially hard to do that, especially Muncy. If you do want to save, I think lost his name. Michael Bush in the Dodgers lineup with Muncy at 2.4 on DraftKings, I think is fine. I think Oswald Perez at 2.8 in the Yankees lineup is fine if you can't get up to a Riley or a Muncy. In the mid-range, I think in GPPs, Eugenio Suarez is really interesting. It's a great power spot, the best power park in baseball, a guy whose skill set is basically 100% power against a fly ball pitcher. So Muncy I really like for a homer. I think his price on FanDuel is really appealing. I wouldn't even tell you you're wrong to play him in cash on FanDuel. You also have Michael Garcia leading off for KC tonight for 2.7, who I think is fine also if you need to save.
Okay, wonderful. That brings us to shortstop, Carty.
Oh, sorry, and Manny Machado in GPPs for sure.
Sure. Okay, shortstop.
Mookie Betts, we mentioned at second. On FanDuel, you can play him at short. He's going to be your top guy, but again, probably don't have to get up there. Same thing with Bobby Witt. Don't have to get up there. In GBPs, you can play him. Lindor, I like a lot in Met stacks or as a one-off, but I think in terms of just like optimal cash type plays, Anthony Volpe is the guy that I keep finding myself with. He's 3-1 on DraftKings. He projects as a top 5 guy on the slate. He's hitting 5th for the Yankees against Josiah Gray. I don't think there's much need to deviate from him in cash, at least on DraftKings. On FanDuel, if you want to go all the way down in that lineup and play Oswald Perez for 2K, I think you can definitely do that. But I think it's kind of him. It's Volpe. Tommy Edman leading off for St. Louis, I think is interesting. This is a spot where I probably prefer to save as opposed to spending up because I don't think any of the top guys are like really elite plays tonight. Seager's against Gallen. Witt is in Oakland. It's just not a spend at short night for me.
Gotcha. Okay, very good. Cards, what are you doing at short? Same deal?
Yeah, I kind of agree with that analysis. I mean, I think you can land in the mid-range, like Edmund Correa, I think is fine. Bogarts, I think is fine. Probably not getting all the way up to Seager or Witt tonight, particularly if Witt ends up being, the highest owned or thereabouts. You're going to see a lot of jumbled together ownership tonight. But Volpe, everyone kind of sticks to the thoughts that Yankee fans had on him at the beginning of the year, which was that they were ready to cut bait with him. And, when I think something got posted the other day that he's got a better WAR on the year than Trey Turner. So not that Turner's having, his best season by any stretch, but Volpe has been very good, especially lately. And for him to be as affordable as he is now hitting up in the lineup, he's not hitting like 8th or 9th every day now. 2,700 on FanDuel, 3,100 on DraftKings. Hitting 5th against Gray, I think it's a solid spot at a position that isn't as strong in terms of matchups as what we see a lot of nights. So, I'm probably landing in that middle tier, that 4K range, or going down to Volpe at 2,700 and 3,100, depending on what site you're on.
Okay, let's dive into the outfield. You can lead us off, Cards.
All right. So you're probably going to want to spend on one guy tonight. For me, I think it's no question like Acuna over Betts if you're debating him in the outfield or Judge. Julio Rodriguez has been hitting everything. But it just Acuna with the steals, with the power, with the matchup against Tyler McGill, who just it could get really ugly in a hurry tonight. I want Acuna if I've got the money to spend on somebody that's at the top end of the pricing spectrum tonight. You could maybe even put Michael Harris hitting second, in that mix of another guy you might want to prioritize. Obviously, you can't play, all the Braves at every position, but I like Acuna, then Harris, then Ozuna if you're, say, power ranking the Atlanta outfielders tonight. The other kind of high-end spends like even Ohtani, Tatis, Corbin Carroll, Kyle Tucker, like those guys aren't going to get much ownership tonight. So you can certainly make a case for them in tournaments, but just tough to get away from Atlanta there for me. The entire Pirates outfield, I mean, we've mentioned Bay at other positions, but you've got Reynolds, you've got McCutchen hitting in the middle of the order against Wainwright. They're fine. DJ Stewart's been playing pretty well for the Mets of late. As you start to get cheaper, he's fine. Palacios is basically min salary for the Pirates on both sites. You've got Pereira for the Yankees as well, who's really cheap. So to me, you're getting at least one of your favorite spends, regardless of whether you're spending on pitcher or not. And then if you're saving at pitcher, you can maybe get 2 spends, and then you take one of those punts and then, kind of forgo the mid-range tonight.
Okay, great. Carty, what are your thoughts there in the outfield?
Yeah, I'm of a pretty similar mind. The outfield really for me is all about Braves, Yankees, and I like Mariners too tonight quite a bit. Acuna is fantastic. He's your top guy. You're playing him in cash no matter what. I think it's pretty easy to play Acuna and Judge tonight, which I think is great. And you can still get a decent third outfielder with them. Michael Harris for the Braves is hitting second. He's reasonably priced enough where you can have an Acuna, Judge, Harris outfield and really not sacrifice anything tonight. Julio Rodriguez, I like a lot as kind of a lower owned pivot to the Braves stuff. I think he's cash viable also. I think sneakier stuff in GPPs, I think Tatis and Trout on the high end, and I guess Ohtani too, are really good. And then cheaper stuff, I don't love as much in the outfield. I don't think you have to do it. I'd rather take cheaper stuff at other spots. But you have Connor Joe here again. Cole Calhoun is fine. Everson Pereira for 2K on DraftKings, if you really need to save, is fine. I mentioned Judge, but Stanton too, especially on FanDuel for 2.9. Stanton is going to be a really good play. So that's kind of where my head is at with the outfield.
Okay, did just get some news in that some dude I've never heard of named Sal Frelick. That's a real human because it came through my RGF. Yeah, he's scratched. Yeah, don't play him. He's scratched, FYI. Make sure you have the RotoGrinders alerts on as well. We text you when that kind of thing happens, which is pretty nice. Okay, we need some home run picks, Carty. So pull up the bat. Tell me who is most likely to hit a bomb. And then, I don't know, give me something a little sneakier than that.
All right. So top guy to hit a home run tonight is, it's got to be Judge, right? Let me take a look. Yep, it's Judge by quite a bit. In terms of something maybe a little sneakier, I don't think Pete Alonso is going to catch people's attention as much as he should. And Cal Raleigh, I think, has a really good chance. And Suarez in the same lineup.
Okay. I love all of those calls.
In terms of betting, who's our top guy?
Sure. Let's see if there's a good bet.
Cedric Mullins plus 1,200 at PointsBet is the top of the day.
There you go. All right. Cards, what do you got here home run wise?
Yeah, you stole my thunder there with Suarez. That was going to be my main one. So I agree on that one. Let's see. I just had a couple more picked out, and then he mentioned Mullins on PointsBet, and I was going to go see what's up with that. But completely lost my train of thought with getting sidetracked on Mullins. Doggone it. Let's see. Suarez was one. I don't mind the Volpe home run call tonight as well. And then you got to take a Pirate against Wainwright. While it's uncomfortable to bet their guys to hit home runs, give me Brian Reynolds at plus 500. I like that one.
Okay, very good. That leaves us with roughly 15 minutes for some QQs. Should be more than enough time. As always, I'm going to start in the RotoGrinders Discord, so make sure you're hanging out with us there. Also, do you know NFL is basically here? It is. We're ready. We're locked and loaded. Let us handle the legwork. You can work less. You can win more. Get access to everything we have to offer. Special discount available only to those without a RotoGrinders subscription. You can get a full season subscription, $50 off at a limited time only price of $375. This sale ends opening night of the season, so get it while you can. It's the projections you trust here for baseball. And we're doing it for football. You know the drill. Same crew helping you out. Let's dive into the QQs, pulling up the RotoGrinders Discord and scrolling up just a little bit. Let's see here. Lord Mad Ice says DKGPP Cards, I'm going to you here. Need a SP2 under 7K, not named Grayson.
Yeah, so he's looking to do the old double spend or the double cheap at pitcher tonight. So let's see. Under what? 7-2?
7K.
7K. Yeah, I think John Gray and Clevenger are probably the guys. He said GPP, right?
He did. I thought there was another name down there that we
Zerpa
liked.
was the 5K guy I
That
mentioned. I would probably go Clevenger or Zerpa in a GPP. And shout out to Carty giving me Mullins on PointsBet. They let me get a whole $1.90 down on that. So we've got $1.90 on Cedric Mullins to hit a bomb.
Ooh,
tonight.
big money. Big money coming back. You're going to win like $15 if that hits.
Yeah, $21.85.
Woo! Big time. What else do we have here? Thoughts on Oviedo tonight with a pitcher's ump. Carty, you're kind of the...
Man, Wainwright's going to pitch a gem now. Pitcher's ump. Let's go.
Any interest in
I'm not an
Oviedo,
Oviedo guy. I think I don't like Oviedo. I think the spot is bad. That's not for me.
Okay, we'll go to Falcor, FanDuel single entry. Carty, I'm coming to you. Do you want Stanton and Volpe or Stanton and G1 Bay? I have 4 Braves, 2 Dodgers, and I'm playing Rodriguez at pitcher. So Stanton, Volpe, or Stanton and Bay.
Stanton Volpe or Stanton Bay.
Yep.
Probably Stanton Volpe, but I like both.
Okay. Yankee Man says DKGPP. Cards, how steamed do you anticipate Atlanta will get? Last night, the entire team came in 2 to 5 times projected ownership, particularly in single entry. I love Atlanta, but my interest is going to be a whole lot lower if everybody's 20 to 30% owned. Thank you in advance.
Yeah, it's a valid question. I think last night was impacted a bit by the fact that a game got axed. And we only had, so it was an 8-game slate, if I remember correctly, yesterday, and then we had 1 get the boot, so it was down to 7. And then the pitching, the cheap pitching, was kind of the way to go last night. So Atlanta ended up coming in higher owned. It also depended on what site you were playing on. But tonight, you are going to have enough people that want to play Snell. You are going to have enough people that want to play Giolito. Verlander's going to get a sprinkle. Gallen's going to get a sprinkle. So I don't think they're going to be, maybe they come in higher than projected ownership. Obviously, we're not always dead on. But I'd be surprised on a larger slate with a little bit more high-end pitching options if they are exorbitantly higher than what we have them at right now.
Okay, very good. And then North Carolina Big Hurt says, Cards, your favorite stack and pitcher to win it all in a large field FanDuel GPP.
Yeah, I mean, for me, you go cheap at pitcher and you still play the Braves. Like, I think that's okay even in single entry, but you got to go like Grayson Rodriguez right now. We've only got at 6 or 8% ownership on FanDuel. Like, I think you play Grayson Rodriguez and play your Atlanta stack.
Okay, very good. Let's see. Carty, favorite home run spots besides Mountie and Soler? Is he just asking for home run picks? I feel like we did that.
Yeah, give me Seattle guys. I think they're kind of the sneaky, really good home run plays tonight.
Perfect. Okay, great. Fix says DKGPP. Carty, you want Hogan Harris, Alvarez, and Lindor, or Giolito, Endy Rodriguez, and Volpe?
I mean, the Giolito combo is easily the better one from an optimal standpoint. Did he say GPP?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it depends on the rest of your lineup. The Giolito one's going to have higher ownership. It's also the better one. So do with that what you will.
And I assume that's not Yordan Alvarez, right? Wasn't he scratched earlier? Am I making that up?
He's not in there. No, it's probably Francisco Alvarez, a catcher, I think.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes more sense. All right. Let's see. DKGPP Cards, you want Gray, Clevenger, or Miley? We got about 10 minutes until lock here.
Well, there's 2 grays, so just beware. If you're asking a gray question, make sure you clarify which one.
This was John. 2. That's my bad.
Okay.
John Gray, Clevenger, or Miley?
I would take. I would probably rank them kind of in that order. I think Clevenger maybe has the highest ceiling, but also the most risk in that matchup. So I don't have a whole lot of any of them, really.
Okay, great. Cards, back to you here. Straight up on DK, just the points, ignore the money in the matchup. Lindor or Ramirez? I guess don't ignore the matchup, just ignore the money side of things. Lindor or Ramirez?
I would probably go with Lindor. I mean, the Mets aren't going to get as much attention on the other side of that game, but obviously they get the good hitting weather also, and I don't love the spot for Ramirez.
Okay, great. What do we got here? MT Red Sox says, hey, if nobody likes Ober, Carty, should we have interest in Milwaukee stacks and tournaments?
I don't really have a lot of interest. They're fine. They're kind of like one of those middle of the pack stacks that like they're fine, but there's 10 other ones that I like more.
Yeah. All right, great. DK's single entry, Miley or Rodriguez from Cloud. I feel like Rodriguez was preferred, but Carty, cards, yeah. Not even
agreed.
Yep. All right.
Yep.
Cards coming to you here. DK GPP, Miller or Kikuchi as your second pitcher in a DK GPP.
Yeah, not a high strikeout matchup for Miller. We know that Kikuchi, and he's been pitching well, gives you that strikeout upside. So, yeah, give me Kikuchi by a wide margin there.
All right, let's see what else we got here. Last in the util spot, FanDuel Cash. Carty, I'm coming to you. He's got $3,400 in FanDuel Cash. For what it's worth, he's got Pittsburgh and Seattle stacks already. But util, FanDuel Cash.
Say that one more time.
Yep, util, FanDuel Cash, $3,400 to spend.
It's going to depend on who else you have. Let me take a quick look. Best guy is going to be Michael Harris. So if you don't have him yet, make sure you have him.
Okay, very good. All right. The Grinch says, hey, who did Carty like at pitcher? I missed the pitcher talk. Thank you. Carty liked spending up. God, I can't think of the guy's name now. The
Giolito
guy. Giolito. And then who would be your favorite SP2? Was it and Rodriguez?
It's Grayson Rodriguez. Andy Rodriguez is a catcher. Probably Grayson Rodriguez. Yeah, Hogan Harris, I think, is viable too. Grayson, though, is the guy that I'm going to go with.
Yeah, very good. Okay. We got a question here. Mr. Shadow Dog says, are you guys doing a best ball draft after the show? We are not today, but you got to make sure you check out spikeweek.com. They've got a YouTube channel as well. They're always doing best ball stuff. That is a best ball site, spikeweek.com, and it's kind of our team helping things out there. So make sure you're checking that out if you are a best ball guy. I plan on, do you guys do any best ball? Do you dabble in this, cards?
I haven't yet.
No,
I have actually done some live on the air with Eric Beimfor on the Sirius XM shows. We've done some live on air, which is pretty neat.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert. I haven't done 500 and I haven't done 550 of them, and here's all my exposures and all that. But I like doing them as a little side thing, getting in some here or there. I'll probably end up with 15 or 20, but not hundreds.
Nice. And Dean says he's going to be doing a best ball draft on Spike Week this Friday after MLB Lock with producer Rob. So if you're looking for some content, there you have it. That should be easy enough. I think I'm going to do some best ball this year. Like, you don't have to do anything, right? You just draft and that's it.
You set it and forget it, just like the guy from the infomercial whose name I'm forgetting.
Amazing. Yeah, that sounds wonderful. That's what I need in my life.
Who's the infomercial guy? I'm going to have to Google it.
I don't know that guy's name. It was not.
See, this is going to date me.
Guy.
It's the Ronco oven guy.
Yeah.
Son of a gun. Ron Popale or something like that. That's it.
There you
Ron
go.
Popale was the. I'm dating myself. Only 5 guys in the chat are going to get this, but that's okay.
The chat they were all over it, so don't worry.
Okay, maybe
right,
10 instead of 5.
Yep. All right, we got about 4 minutes until lock. Let's see what else we got here. Scrolling up a wee bit back in the RotoGrinders Discord. FanDuel Cash question, Carty, Volpe or M. Garcia?
Volpe.
Snowfighter says cards, Miller or Kikuchi, second pitcher in a DK GPP?
Kikuchi.
Let's see. FanDuel Cash is a 3v3 for you, Carty. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. All right. FanDuel Cash. Giolito, Ozuna, Stanton, or Grayson, Connor, Joe, and Freddie.
That was a cash question.
Yep.
The Giolito one.
Okay. Great. FanDuel Cash. Back to you, Carty. M. Garcia or Volpe. Didn't we just do that?
We just did, I think, Volpe.
Yeah. Came back in here. DKGPP cards. I'm coming to you. Miley, Ozuna, or John Gray and Rosario.
I take the second one.
Nerdy Tanner saying best ball drafts great to do on the treadmill. That makes sense. I don't do the treadmill, but if I did, it would be a good spot for him. FanDuel GPP cards, Oviedo and E. Rodriguez or G. Rodriguez and Ozuna.
I would do the second one.
Great. Into the YouTube chat. Make sure you hit us with a little thumbs up. I'm going to try to find some of your QQs here. Here we go. For pitcher, Giolito or Kikuchi? This is a cash question for you, cards.
I mean, I think you play Giolito in cash over Kikuchi. He's the safer option.
Okay. Mr. Big says, Carty, who is your favorite DK outfielder in cash at 3,100 or less?
Honestly, I don't think the move tonight is to play a guy that cheap. I think you play some combination of Acuna, Harris, Judge, Julio. I guess it's like maybe Connor Joe if you're going really cheap. Is he? What was the 3,200 or less?
It was 31, I believe, was the number.
Oh yeah, Connor Joe's 32. So you're really like, I don't know who you're playing. That's not the build that I'm going with tonight.
Gotcha. Okay.
Ji-Hwan Bae, if you're not playing him at second, he's your best outfielder under 3,100.
Okay, very good. We got an important food question. We'll save that until lock. Aside says FanDuel Cash, Carty, Stanton or Rally straight up 2,900.
Was that Stanton or Rally?
Yep.
Stanton.
Rocky Raccoon says alert. Cards, the White Sox just fired their GM and their VP. Do they go out and slap ding-along dongs all over the field in their honor? Those are his words, not mine.
Boy, I'm sure there's some celebrations going on. I wish the Cardinals would do the same.
Yeah.
I'm jealous that we can't celebrate together, but I don't know. Sure, why not? Go Sox.
Yeah. Oh, I'm in on that narrative.
I don't think anything changes until Reinsdorf's out of the picture, though.
Yeah. Let's see. Snowfighter, peanut butter marshmallow or peanut butter jelly sandwich? Who has marshmallow?
Neither.
I'm sorry. You don't do PB&Js?
No, that's disgusting.
What?
They're both disgusting.
How is a peanut butter and jelly disgusting? It's
disgusting.
It's like the most
work.
iconic combination of anything. It's like Batman and Robin, peanut butter and jelly, Bert and Ernie. Like those are like the three. Like what are you even talking about?
I don't
Cards.
care.
My hand is hovering over the eject button.
He's about
It's
to
quivering.
After 10 years, I've been fired for my takes on peanut butter and jelly. I don't know. I just don't like it. Maybe it's a texture thing. I don't know. I don't like it.
I do it with like a flour tortilla and do a peanut butter and jelly taco. You might find that to be more disgusting.
Yeah, it's not doing anything for me.
It's delicious. I highly recommend it.
Like I'd rather have a grilled
on
cheese. Just give me a grilled cheese.
I mean,
I can do the grilled cheese and soup thing. That works.
Yeah. Let's see. Boy, everybody's furious with you, cards. I've never seen everyone in chat come together on one thing before, but this is it. They hate that take. That is what is unified chat.
I haven't blasted that take out on social media or anything because I knew it would be a GPP take, but that's okay.
Yeah. It is. That's well worded. It is a GPP take. And don't hate on my peanut butter and jelly taco chat. Peanut butter and jelly taco is legit. Dean says, how does cards feel about puppies and kittens?
I'm a dog guy.
Hey, guess what, guys? We have hit lock on that terrible take. I think MT Red Sox says, I've said it before and I'll say it again. These guys have the best analysis and the strangest eating habits we've ever seen.
You've been brought into the mix, Roth. Somebody talking about you not liking chocolate chip pancakes.
Yeah, well, chocolate chip shouldn't be in breakfast food, and that's a correct take. So
Wait,
I
what are you talking about? Roth,
Yeah.
I expect so much better from you. You're one of like the few people that actually has a reasoned take on pineapple pizza where you're like, it's good. But
It's
all of
good.
a sudden you can't have chocolate in your breakfast food.
You can't.
Like,
Nah,
This
just
is good.
be
See,
more
we're-
incongruent, why don't you?
We're slowly getting the focus off of my take and on to
There you
some
go. Yeah.
other take.
Good work. Good work. TJ says unreal cards. Just when you think you know somebody, they come at you with that. Hey guys, we're gonna bounce on out of here. Make sure you hit us with a little thumbs up on your way out. For Cards for Carty, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love it, and we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.